You're listening to the Brian and Vinny Show with your hosts, Brian Alvarez and Big Vinny V.
I thought this Raw was great for an hour and then tailed off.
We're going to talk about what is interesting about it as we get going, but actually we'll get going now because we always start with Raw.
Number 208, Cinco de Mayo, 1997. One thing I like about these shows that what they will do now is the show will start and someone will come out and do their boring 20-minute promo, and in the middle they will show clips of what's been going on lately to bring people up to speed. These old Raws, they just start with a 3-minute highlight reel. Here's what you missed last week. Now you're up to speed.
Not to mention they give the times of when everything took place, so it made the viewer that was watching Nitro and had tuned in early, it could see exactly what they missed.
That is also true.
Yeah, why am I so bassy tonight?
It's not that you're bassy, it's just you're quiet.
What else is new?
I don't know. You seem much quieter than usual, but nothing has changed.
So the Hart Foundation came out for a promo. For the first time, a full 5-man unit. Owens carrying 4 championship belts and 2 Slammies. He looks into the camera and says, "We're winners!" He's right.
Well, he is right.
So they bring Brett into the ring in his wheelchair, and he sits in his wheelchair for the promo, and they all surround him. He also have crutches, in case he decides to go for a stroll, I guess. So Brett thanks all his non-American fans all over the world. He thanks Brian Pillman for his inspiring words last week. He thanks and congratulates Owen for a job well done in capturing the Intercontinental Championship.
Can we have Craig say what he said to his fans around the world to the American fans? Know what he said to the American fans? Did you write this down, Craig?
I'm looking for it. I don't see it. What am I?
Go ahead, Vinny.
Oh.
Go ahead, Craig.
I don't think I got it either.
There's no FCC violations here on this podcast.
Did he use a naughty word?
Brett said, "Tough titty."
Yeah.
You screwed up his line.
I
No,
did.
it's fine. That's perfect, actually.
Say it again, Craig. Craig, this is not one of the 7 words.
It was. We went over this.
The Lord is going to be upset that you said titty?
He said, "Tough titty, kitty."
Thank you. Said the
Happy?
kitty.
Yeah.
He also thanked Bulldog for thrashing The Undertaker in the name of the Hitman.
So I think this now confirms it's okay to say titty. Because it's now 2 times. In the context of tough titty.
Right.
I don't think you can say, look at them titties.
Well, you can.
That might be
I've been known
ixnay.
to. But
But saying tough titty said the kitty is okay.
he said Austin would not be there tonight because he was a gutless, rotten, stinking hyena who got exactly what he had coming last week. He says all the fans hate him. That's okay because I hate you too. And as he said this, Bulldog gets down on one knee, smiles, and gives a giant thumbs up. This Hart Foundation is the best unit ever. And I'm going to say that about a dozen more times tonight, so get used to it.
You know why they're the best? They're the best because of Brett. Because there's nothing better than a bad guy who has... I mean, he did have a knee injury, but he's clearly milking it. We learned that last week when he got up on his feet and was excited until finally Steve Austin had been thrown to his death, and then he sauntered back into his wheelchair and needed to be wheeled backstage. Because he's faking it. Because he's a heel. This man needs a wheelchair because he got his knee scoped.
Yeah.
His friends carry a wheelchair with them.
Yes.
That they bring into the ring that then he can sit in to be comfortable.
Yeah.
As a man who's had his knee scoped, crutches are just fine.
Yeah. They're the perfect unit for so many reasons. But among this, and this is kind of what you're getting at, they have a clear central figure that is obviously Brett, who is a great leader and manipulator and gets his cronies to do all his work for him.
Yeah.
As we shall get to throughout the show.
What a great man.
Yes. So, he says he had put together this dream team to battle the violence in America. Now that Austin was finished, it was time to target Shawn Michaels. And he said, I'm going to unleash this pack of lions. And all the heels cackled. And I laughed, and my heart was filled with joy. They promised to make Shawn sorry,
Sorry.
my favorite Canadianism, and they all made their way backstage.
More than a boot.
I like sorry.
You know what's funny about this? Let's go back to our comparisons with Raw nowadays. In The Observer for this issue, do you know what Dave wrote?
I bet he buried the show.
He said, this is a direct quote from 1997. The live crowds seem into most of the angles, but are dead for the matches.
Well, that makes sense.
19 years ago. People watch the show today like it's something new. That the fans are into the entrances, and to a degree, the company is making it worse because wins and losses don't matter. So there is a degree of it's the company's fault. But it is interesting to look back 19 years to a period where, and keep in mind, this was the beginning of the boom era. A bunch of guys that the fans are into, but they don't give a shit about the matches.
In another comparison with Raw today and Raw of 1997, when Shawn Michaels' name was brought up, he got the Roman Reigns reaction.
Well, he kind of was a Roman Reigns back then, except he was a great worker.
Significant difference.
Yeah.
After the break, the Hearts are making their way backstage. They are patrolling the hallways for Shawn Michaels. There was a lot of intentional comedy on the show, but this was a great unintentional comedy moment because they're walking back there for about 6 seconds before they realize it's live, and they're just walking in silence. It's 5 guys walking down a hallway. And then suddenly, as one, they're all like, "Where is that boy toy? Come on, Shawn, let's get him." I laughed. Ahmed Johnson versus Rockabilly. Ahmed is out there in baggy sweatpants tucked into his boots like a black Sabu. He jumped Billy, whipped his ass, did the Rockabilly dance. You found it? Play it from the beginning, actually. There's a part in the beginning they actually don't play on these shows.
Oh, really? You've heard this before?
I have.
Wow. I'll just preface this by saying that when he came out to this music, I couldn't believe that I hated it back then. What a great song.
That weird lip noise is not on the 97 Raws. They just started the song 5 seconds in.
What a tune.
Do you like this better than Jeff Jarrett's WCW music?
That's a hard one. All right, this is Rockabilly. Rockabilly is such a handsome man.
Yeah.
That's a real lyric.
Yeah.
And then there's this one. I think this one's better.
This is so much better. This is so much better.
That's the worst fake Elvis I think I've ever heard.
I think they're trying to do Brian Setzer.
It's got to be Elvis. It's Rockabilly. The honky tonk man. It's way better.
Yes, it is.
If Nitro would have had 2 hours, we could have got this song on the air.
That's true.
Anyway, tell us about Rockabilly.
The music that Brian Setzer plays is called Rockabilly.
I know.
That's why I brought it up.
I know that, but
Oh, do you?
It's an Elvis impersonator. You're talking about somebody who played Lightning Hopkins to open up every show for 9 years.
Right.
Farouk did an inset promo. He vowed Ahmed would fail to run the gauntlet against the Nation at the pay-per-view, but tonight Crush was going to run his own gauntlet against Farouk's hand-picked trio to show how it was done.
His ghetto buddies, he said.
See.
Can you imagine if Ahmed and Farouk were in a debate?
I've seen it.
They did one.
Yeah, they went backstage. But it was even worse because I think Ahmed was on the telephone.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Oh,
So, match is pretty boring.
can you imagine?
I know.
Billy Gunn
And Ahmed. Hey,
versus Ahmed Johnson.
no one was sent to the hospital after this match, so it's a win.
Are you sure?
No,
He
I don't
got
think.
hit with a guitar really hard at the
That,
end.
well, that was
Oh,
that.
we'll get into that.
So Rockabilly had the match won. He had a sleeper hold on, and he had Ahmed Johnson put to sleep. And the ref drops Ahmed's arm once, and he drops Ahmed's arm twice, and then Billy lets go. First, he wants to dance a little bit. He does his dancing. Then, Honky Tonk Man takes the ref. Because, you see, even though they have the match won and victory in hand, Billy wants to hit him with a guitar. I can't stress this enough. Billy was winning on him. This was over. He decided, I'm going to hit him with a guitar. His plan was foiled. Ahmed got the guitar. The ref turned it around, and Ahmed Johnson hit poor Billy Gunn in the head so freaking hard with this guitar. I'm sure it was a gimmick guitar. I don't care.
It doesn't matter. Ahmed Johnson is coming off within the last couple of weeks, putting the Sultan, Rikishi, in the hospital.
Yeah.
After walloping him with some gimmick, like a kendo stick. I can't even remember what it was.
Kicked him in the face.
Well, he did that, and then he beat him up afterwards with some sort of gimmick. So knowing that, why would you book a segment where Ahmed Johnson is going to get his hands on a guitar, fake or otherwise, and hit Billy Gunn as hard as he possibly could on the top of the head?
I don't know.
We glossed over this last week, but last week, Flash Funk got hit with the guitar, and there was so much baby powder in the guitar
Yes.
that it was pouring out. No baby powder was needed in this week's guitar shot.
God, how did Ahmed have a job?
He was big,
Well, he sucked.
but he was big.
You know who else was big? Ryback. And he can't even get out the pre-show, and now he's walked out.
Yeah.
This geek, actively hurting people, sucking, he can't do a promo.
No.
And you know what? He didn't even have that great a body. He was just gigantic.
He was big.
It wasn't like he was ripped.
No.
It wasn't like he was Rick Rude or the Ultimate Warrior. He was just a big, jacked-up doughboy who fucking sucked at everything he did. It's horrible.
Besides that, though, I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Other than that, I'm sure he's a great guy. Remember it was Big T? And him
Were
and
they
Booker
feuding
T
over the letter
feuded
T?
over the letter T. Yeah. Some people listening to this right now believe we're joking.
No,
but that
there's
is a factual statement
They have it on national television.
in WCW.
He
Yes.
was about 60 pounds larger at the time, too.
He was Big T.
He looked 200 pounds larger. He was so fat.
I was being generous.
Oh,
The Hearts stormed into a locker room in search of Shawn Michaels. They found Bob Holly and two geeks. So 3 geeks. One of them had the worst gear I've ever seen in my life. They had like tights on, but then they had like suspenders
Right.
and random straps going back and forth across his chest and over his shoulders. I don't know if this is supposed to be bondage gear. I don't know what this was.
I'll bet it wasn't supposed to be bondage gear.
It was awful. So they looked around. They were going locker by locker to make sure Shawn was not hiding in the lockers. And as we go to break, you hear Owen say, I bet he's in the ladies' locker room.
Glad you caught that.
They go to the break. They come back. They had found a stairwell. And, of course, Brett is in a wheelchair. So Pillman stays at the top of the stairs with Brett to stand guard, while Owen, Bulldog, and Anvil go room to room downstairs in search of Shawn Michaels. Had another Ken Shamrock training video.
This was so great.
Training.
First off, it was great, but what I loved about it was they talked to Bob Shamrock,
Yes.
who took in young Ken Shamrock when he was just a youngster and gave him a home and was his spiritual father. And they never even said his name. They didn't say his name. They didn't have a graphic for his name. They just talked about this fella, and then this fella showed up on screen and talked about Ken, and there was no identifying graphic in any way.
I knew who he was because I know the Shamrock story, basically. But they did not put his name on here. I didn't know his name was Bob. So I just wrote Old Man Shamrock.
He was Old Man Shamrock.
Now, unlike last week when they only showed Ken doing weightlifting, they did at least this time doing a little bit of submission training to indicate he does have some fighting ability.
Young Frank Shamrock sitting there against a wall in the background.
Yes, yes. And they talked about his... They glossed over his rough and dangerous youth. They did not make it seem like it was that bad. He got into some trouble, they said. And then he now overcame this background. He's a great husband and father. He's at his kids' little league games. He's being a coach, and everything's so happy.
This giant, enormous dude coaching these tiny little youngsters as they run the bases.
Yes. Then he gives a spiel about how when it's time to get to the arena or except in the cage of the ring, he goes into the zone. And you can tell that's his catchphrase because he's saying it 27 times in a minute here. Meanwhile, he's talking about going into a zone to kill people, and he's not afraid to fight Mike Tyson. In the background, they are playing what I swear was Enigma.
Yeah.
This is very not badass music. I like it, but it doesn't mean want to fight. He called Tyson a bully who blamed others for his problems, and it was finally over, and it was a very long video.
God, everyone trying to bait Tyson in. It's just funny. They did it last week, too.
Yes.
It's not going to happen.
No.
Spoiler.
Vader versus Goldust. They announced the Vader Shamrock match of the pay-per-view they did not say UFC rules, but it would be knockout or submission only. No pins. Shamrock's doing commentary. In the middle of this match here, they randomly announced Steve Austin is missing, and so is the WWF Championship belt.
Oh, man.
Very odd time to point both those out. So the first chance Vader had Goldust in serious trouble, he left the ring to jawjack with Shamrock for a while. He kept beating Goldust up, tried a body press in the corner with the idea Goldust would catch him and power slam him out. Sort of worked, I guess. And Vader cut him off and won with a Vader bomb. He dared Shamrock to get in the ring. He spat on Shamrock. Shamrock snapped. So Vader and Shamrock are rolling around on the mat trading punches. Out comes Mankind. And Lord knows, Mankind's not a UFC champion or Ultimate Fighter, but he did wrestle in high school. And he grabs Shamrock and pulls him off with a gator roll. I laughed and laughed and laughed. And Goldust made the save and the heels bailed.
So Vader once got beat up by Paul Orndorff when Orndorff was wearing flip-flops.
Yes.
A very famous story. I mean, he was a football player. Maybe he wasn't ready for the flip-flop wearing dude coming after him or whatever.
With a nerve-damaged arm.
With a nerve-damaged arm. But the point of this is, he wasn't a UFC fighter. He would have got his ass handed to him in UFC.
Yeah.
But Vader knew how to carry himself as a badass. When he came in here and he beat the shit out of Goldust, as a viewer, you could think, oh man, Ken Shamrock and Vader is going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. Two big hosses killing each other. It's going to be a shoot.
There was a point in this match where Vader went for a splash in the corner, and Goldust was supposed to catch him and hit him with basically a body slam.
Mm-hmm.
Vader kind of jumped too high, and Goldust, quote unquote, caught him, but in doing so, he almost dropped him outside.
Yeah.
It was very terrifying to see a large man headed towards the ground, but luckily they recovered.
Have you seen the Vader Shamrock match of the pay-per-view?
I saw it. I haven't seen it in years.
97.
Yeah. I saw it for the first time just a year or two ago, and I know I've talked about it on the show before, but Vader for sure, and probably Ken too, would have been much safer in a shoot. They work snug, we'll say. Jim Ross did a sit-down interview with Dustin Runnels and his wife, Terry.
I don't know if I hated this or loved this.
Yeah. There was elements of both. First of all, pictures of baby Dustin and his dad, Dusty. And when you see 1970s Dusty, you realize, wow, Dusty and Dustin do in fact look exactly the same.
Yeah. Before we go any further, I'll give you a little bit of background on this whole thing here. Ellen DeGeneres, or as the Iron Sheik called her, Ellen Degenerate, had just come out within the last couple of weeks. Goldust had done this character who was of questionable sexuality. So they had been promoting for a week now that Dustin was going to come out on this show. But Vince made sure to warn us, it's not what you think. That led to this.
Right. So Dustin is talking about how as a child, and then even as an adult, he spent his entire life in Dusty's shadow. People would meet him. They wouldn't want to know what was going on in his life. They only wanted to ask about his dad. And playing soft listening piano music in the background. So Dustin got into wrestling, but he was still just Dusty Rhodes' kid. And so to get out of Dusty's shadow, he had to do something totally different. So of course he came up with Goldust, which was not an easy transition to make. Now, earlier, Brian, you said Goldust was of questionable sexuality. He was openly flirting with Razor Ramon, sending him love letters, and once tried to make out with Ahmed.
That is true, but they also did the angle where Jerry Lawler asked him if he was...
Say it.
I forget the term.
I remember what he said and how he said it, and I will say it here. Mm-hmm. He asked Goldust, aren't you queer? That's exactly how he said it.
Which Goldust denied.
He denied it.
He denied it.
So
it is questionable.
They showed an old clip of Goldust unzipping his bodysuit to fondle his own chest, which had a Razor Ramon heart tattoo. Mm-hmm. And they called him Scott Hall, said he refused to wrestle Goldust. And then Goldust talked about getting letters from the gays.
That is the exact term that he used.
Yes.
In an endearing way.
He meant, yes. He then explained, after, people were judging him and whatever, now he said he knew what they were going through. And God bless him.
Can we just cut to the chase right here? The story of this segment was that Goldust used to dress up in all gold from head to toe in a bodysuit that revealed way too much of his genitalia. Mm. He was of questionable sexuality. But now he is revealing to the world that he is merely Dustin Rhodes' family man, and he hopes that people will accept him as such.
Yeah.
Smash cut 19 years later, still wearing the suit.
So ridiculous.
I don't think on Lucha Underground this week, Drago will take his mask off and say, I'm just a guy from Mexico who puts on a dragon mask for publicity.
But when Dustin is sitting there and in the quiet, sad voice, he just reveals, I hope that people will respect me and accept me for being Dustin.
As a single tear
rolled
down his cheek.
What? I'm trying to think of even I can't even think of a modern equivalent.
So it closed saying he had not talked to his father in a few years. He hoped his dad was proud of him, and he hoped they could settle their past someday. And that was actually very hard to watch, because I know they were going through some tough times, and of course Dusty's gone now, and thankfully they reconciled.
He came out as a fella.
Yes. That all happened.
I just couldn't believe the whole thing that I was watching. The music and everything about it, you were supposed to feel great sadness, sympathy, and respect for this man. And all he was doing was telling you, I'm Dustin. I got a wife, and I haven't seen my dad in a while.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing.
Brian was not impressed.
I was not impressed. And then they promised more next week, and I was like, what could be the next revelation?
Right.
Part 2.
I don't know where you go from this. That's true.
You've been saving your money? You bought a house? What the fuck could he possibly say now?
Maybe he's broke.
Last night, I went to Applebee's. I hope people will understand.
That's actually a hell of a point. All right, up next was, I think, my favorite segment on either of these shows. Heart Foundation is still hunting for Sean. They are parked outside a men's room. They hear a toilet flush, and they all brace for action. The door opens, a figure emerges, and they pounce. And they are hammer fisting this guy, putting the boots to him, throwing knees, walloping him. And then the guy's, wait, it's not Sean. And they all back off, and there's a 150-pound guy there who happens to have long brown hair, but it's not Shawn Michaels. And they all back off, and they pause, and then they just go back to beating him. Because they're bad guys.
Yep.
I was so phenomenally, wonderfully great. Oh, I love the Heart Foundation. Then we had one of the all-time disturbing Monday Night Raw segments.
Is that about the kid on the bus?
The kid on the bus. Yes. They did some of these last week where
Dustin should have been apologizing for this commercial.
Yeah. They did some of these last week where my son used to be nice, but now he acts like Stone Cold and won't eat his broccoli. So here's this one.
How is that
How is that a positive?
I mean, everyone talks about all the kids that watch nowadays. And the reality is, the reason there's so many kids is because they got rid of all the adults. During this era and further on, when it was really raunchy, that's when you had the most kids.
Yeah.
So, as a parent, your children are watching this show, and they have created a series of commercials telling you if your child watches this show, they will essentially become a delinquent.
Yeah.
What were they thinking?
I don't know. So a woman was concerned because her son was nerdy and uncool. So they cut to the school bus. The camera's in the aisle on the bus looking towards the front. The door opens. Shawn Michaels' music starts. And then here I am. All of a sudden, I'm watching a shirtless 8-year-old boy dance to Shawn Michaels' music.
Yeah.
Now, that's creepy enough on its own. The people in the bus were not other students. Grown women proceeded to throw their bras at this 8-year-old boy with no shirt on.
This is this is all true.
What in the hell was this? How?
All I know is they didn't cut it out when they put it on the network.
No, nobody thought this might be a bad idea.
Nope. They thought it was great.
Maybe put a Shawn Michaels T-shirt on the boy.
No, he had to just be.
They probably shaved him too.
And then I'm sitting there thinking, can you imagine if there is a little boy
Oh, to try this?
who tries this on his school bus? That will turn out badly.
Yeah, well.
He'll be doing an interview with Jim Ross 20 years from now.
Crush versus a gauntlet of jobbers. Farouk promised to be the biggest, baddest dudes he could find. They all came out with no intros or graphics. The announcers didn't know who they were.
Can I talk about how much Crush sucks?
That is what we're here for.
I mean, God bless the guy. He has since passed on. He did have some troubles with the law, but Buddy always told me he was a nice guy because he worked around here in Portland.
Yeah.
He sucked. I laughed so hard when he was dropping legs on one of these jobbers because what he did was he would stand next to the guy and then he would lift his leg into the air and then he would grab his own leg to hold it up in the air.
Yeah.
And then he would sit on his ass and then he would spin his leg around to stand up. And then he'd do it again.
Oh, yeah.
He did this 3 times. I laughed harder each time. Did he have a stomach problem where he was unable to hold his own leg up for the 1 second that it required before he dropped on his ass? He literally would grab it with his own hand to hold it up.
Yeah. So he beat the first guy in less than a minute with a gut buster. Second guy was that geek with too many straps in his gear. He was the one who got leg dropped repeatedly. As Crush was beating him up, the announcers are saying something. There's some kind of confrontation in the back. Have the Hearts found Shawn Michaels? So Crush beats this guy with a heart punch. And then out comes the third man, who is a large man in black pants,
Who had a panty on his head.
a Green Bay Packers jacket because they were in Green Bay, and pantyhose on his head. And he sprinted down to the ring. He hit
They couldn't
Crush.
find a mask.
I thought about that too. Just a plain, generic lucha mask.
Well, last week he
Or
did
the-
claim to be a gang member,
They didn't have a seamstress.
and now he was doing a crime, so he had to be incognito.
Yeah.
Like he's knocking over a bank.
They couldn't find a ski mask.
No one thought about that. He's got a pantyhose on his head. He runs in.
He looked like an idiot.
He hits Crush with a Pearl River plunge. He pins him. He runs up the aisle before the 6 dudes can all beat him up at once. And he pulls off the pantyhose and the jacket to reveal, I'm Ahmed Johnson.
Looked like he was wearing a gooey duck. Did it not?
Do people outside the Northwest know what a gooey duck
That's
is?
even better.
Well, they will now.
It's an actual animal, everyone. They exist. It never occurred to me that's what Ahmed's head looked like, but
First thing I thought when I saw it.
that gooey duck is attacking Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah. That's why he was running.
The Hearts have now given up on finding Shawn Michaels in the building. They've moved to the outside.
This is awesome.
So they're in the parking lot. Brett's in his wheelchair, immobile. The other 4 grown men, they are just sprinting from truck to truck and car to car for any sign of Shawn Michaels, any hearts that may be broken, anything they can find, any clue to his whereabouts. And I can't stress this enough, how random it was, where they came from or where they came out.
I just saw Brett in a wheelchair, and all of a sudden Anvil just runs past him.
You had no idea Anvil could run that fast.
I didn't either. And Brett said something like, look under that truck.
He's like, look under that truck. Look behind those barrels.
Maybe Shawn Michaels had gone outside and laid down under a truck.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, when Anvil looks, quote unquote, under the truck, he sticks his head up by the tire and looks under the wheel well. Like Shawn had shoehorned himself in between the tire and the wheel well.
Yes. I love the stable so much. So, we had just spent, not long, 15, 20 seconds, watching the Hart Foundation run through the parking lot like chickens. And then Shawn Michaels just comes out to the ring for a promo.
Yeah, just comes out.
It showed Austin laying Shawn out with a punch 2 weeks ago. I don't think that made the air. I think it was after the show. Shawn said he didn't know or care where Austin was tonight, but he was not going to let Austin fight the Hearts by himself. Not to help Austin, but to hurt them. He noted the trend in wrestling these days is to insult the fans and cut them down. Talk about how you don't like or need them. Is he talking about Hunter and Steph in 2016?
I think so.
Instead, he wasn't going to do that. He was going to suck up to the fans. And yes, that's the exact words he used.
You're talking about how he said the Hart Foundation may run in a pack, but the clique runs in a herd.
He did say that.
Don't packs hunt herds?
Yes.
Okay, just
I
checking.
don't think any herd has ever eaten a pack. He also noted the clique was the most powerful faction in wrestling. Vince asked when he was going to wrestle again. He said he'd been cleared. He'd be back at King of the Ring. He runs down Brett for a while and says, Brett, you're just upset that Americans idolize a man like Homer Simpson. This is too much for Brett to take. And Brett and Pillman appear on the Titantron. First thing Brett says, how dare you make fun of the Simpsons?
Well, he essentially said, you can make fun of me all you want. Do not make fun of Homer Simpson.
That's right.
And like Brett was on The Simpsons the week before.
Yeah. He made fun of Sean for getting cheers from the dudes and finding his smile. So there's nothing wrong with your knee. I dare you to face Jim Neidhart right now if you've got the jam, which is a term I've never heard before or since.
He used it several times on this show.
You can say titty, but you can't say balls.
Or guts. Or courage. No, the jam. So Neidhart comes out. Sean is waiting patiently. They start brawling. Suddenly Owen and Bulldog are rather triple teaming him. The Legion of Doom appear in some wacky new gear, and they help Sean clear the ring.
It sucked. Suspenders.
Basically.
The Legion of Doom was wearing something to hold their pants up.
Yeah. Or to cover their upper torso.
That too.
Yeah. After the break, Sean is storming backstage with a chair, cursing at random geeks for getting in his way. And it appeared to be actually Shawn Michaels cursing at random geeks for getting in his way.
This is pretty much where the show fell off a cliff for me.
Yes. Especially this very next match.
Because it didn't work last week. Let's try it again this week.
Okay. It's now not worked twice. Don't ever do this match again. Furnace and LaFon versus the Legion of Doom. Furnace and LaFon openly trying to be boring made me laugh for like a second or two, and then this just sucked. These teams have zero chemistry together. No one wants to sell anything. Vince is apologizing for the smoke-filled arena.
Could you imagine that Furnace and LaFon have no chemistry with Animal and Hawk?
I know.
Who would have ever thought this would be a bad pairing?
Indeed. So backstage, now officials were holding Sean back so he couldn't get at the Hearts. That's awesome, because the heels are outnumber him 5-1, and they still need officials to hold him back. The announcer said Austin, they still didn't know where he was. He probably won't make the show now. So Warriors make their comeback. Bulldog comes out to distract Animal. Hawk hits a chokeslam, and then they botched an interference spot with Owen so badly. I don't know whose timing was off, but Owen was out there, and Hawk's got LaFon, and all three of them are just looking at each other, and suddenly Hawk's over by the ropes, and Owen jumps at his head. And then after the pin, both Road Warriors jumped to the feet, not selling a damn thing. A debacle. Backstage, Pillman and Neidhart were now brawling with Sean when Austin appears through a side door and the Hearts flee. And then Taker's dong hit and he came out, and that's how Austin made his first appearance on the show. So Taker cuts a promo. It is an Undertaker promo. He is talking about creatures and darkness and respecting the flame.
I was so done at this point. I watched this second. It's my big mistake. Undertaker with his goofy makeup on and just a shitty promo. Who could possibly give a shit?
I don't know.
The funny thing is he supposedly had a burned face. And so the makeup lady has progressively gotten the burn smaller and smaller to where it's not just hardly anything now.
Sonny came out to model Steve Austin t-shirts. He showed Austin being loaded into an ambulance after Raw last week, only he fought the EMTs off and stumbled away.
And then it's time for this match. And after all of this half hour of horrible television, they play the Bulldog's music, and they play his music, and they play his music, and they play his music, and I'm like, okay, so he got jumped. And play his music, and suddenly the curtain moves. Bulldog comes through the curtain, but then he stops and goes back behind the curtain again. And then he comes out, and goes to the ring.
Yes.
Don't look at me, dude.
What in the fuck was I waiting for? It felt like 2 hours I waited for him to come out. And I don't think there was ever an explanation for it. He must have been in the bathroom. Like, he must have thought, I'm in the main event, but now would be a great time to take a piss. I got time. Maybe they'll introduce Steve Austin first.
So doing this match, Austin's beating him up for a while, and then Bulldog says, enough of this, and he hauls off and kicks Austin in the nuts right in front of the ref. Not a DQ. Had a very long match that went through 2 commercial breaks. Somewhere in here, they said Sid... They didn't outright say Sid won't be there, but they strongly suggested Sid would not be at the pay-per-view and Mankind will have a new opponent. And Austin won with a stunner, and I can't even say it was out of nowhere. He was hitting some moves, and he grabbed Bulldog by the head and kind of awkwardly maneuvered him in a position and then fell on his ass and then pinned him.
Let me go back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show about Raw nowadays and the crowds. Keep in mind that Steve Austin was like the hottest babyface. I guess you could argue maybe Shawn Michaels, but Steve Austin was pretty over. Mm-hmm. And the Hart Foundation was the number 1 heel crew by a wide margin. And so after all of this rigmarole on the whole show and everything they did last week with Austin attacking the guy in the ambulance, the main event of this show is Stone Cold Steve Austin against the British Bulldog of the Hart Foundation. Nobody gave 2 shits. The crowd was absolutely dead for this whole match from start to finish. And they went forever, and they never got into it. Until he finally hit his move, and then they cheered. It's exactly like today.
So, Anvil and Owen hit the ring. They are beating Austin with the belt. And it turns out it's not the tag belts, the Euro title, or the Intercontinental title. It's Undertaker's WWF Championship. The Harts had it. So the Road Warriors come out to fight. And Furnace and LaFon come out to fight. Shawn Michaels come out to fight.
Nobody cared about a moment of this except for Shawn Michaels' music.
And if you watch this fight, you wouldn't care either. This is the lamest brawl. This looked like a middle of Raw battle royal where there's still 10 guys in the ring and 8 of them are just trying to hide in the corner and 2 guys are trading punches. This is the lamest fight. Taker shows up. I believe he actually got busted open in this terrible brawl. Finally, Austin and Taker are the only 2 in the ring. Austin's got the belt, but he's just using it as a weapon. He's not even, posing with it.
My favorite part was the sloppy brawl that Austin and Undertaker have, where Austin is trying to run the ropes, but not step on the belt.
Yes.
Which is falling right in the middle of the ring.
Yes.
And so he's running all wacky. Oh, this whole thing sucked.
Yeah, and then Taker and Austin started brawling, and they brawled for a long, long, long time, and then the show ended. There was 1 great hour of TV, followed by a second hour that was worse.
That was the end of the show. Geeks and bodies flying everywhere.
That was not so good.
That was the go-home show.
It was?
Yeah.
In Your House was that weekend.
Huh. Unbelievable! Okay, Raw number 209, May 12th, 1997. The open with still shots of the pay-per-view. Let us know Ken Shamrock tapped out Vader. Ahmed Johnson beat Crush and Savio Vega, but then fell to Farouk in his gauntlet match. And in the main event, the Hart Foundation interfered frequently. They cost Steve Austin the championship match. The Undertaker pinned him, but in the post-match melee, Austin laid out Taker with a stunner and chased the Harts away. They made it very, very clear, we are protecting Steve Austin. We do not want him to win the championship yet because we want to do the big chase for this year, really. But he's a badass. He did not lose clean, and now he's going to go in a personal rivalry against the Harts just to occupy his time before we are ready for his championship push. Which is all great, by the way.
Let's not gloss over this Vader Ken Shamrock recap where they talked about how the bully Vader tapped out to a man half his size.
Oh, yeah. They did emphasize that.
And then they added, watch out, Mike Tyson. It's like, did Vince actually think in his mind, if we call out Mike Tyson enough, he'll really fight Ken Shamrock?
Sure.
Well, he was an idiot.
Yes. Yes, he was.
You know the finish of the Ahmed match was?
Looked like Farouk hitting a Dominator and winning.
Ahmed hit his Pearl River plunge, and Farouk just kicked out and then pinned him.
Okay.
It's an odd way for the heel to win this penultimate match.
The Hart Foundation came out on stage for a promo. Brett was talking about how great they were and said the fans were the bad guys, and they cheered heroes like Austin, who he called a babbling ass.
Let's talk about some of his dialogue. These men could breathe for me. They could pump my blood with their hearts. Very
Yes.
poetic line. And then, instead of just his brother Owen, this week he referred to him as my lovable brother
Yes.
Owen. A fan also had a sign that said, this was a grown man. It said, boo-hoo Bret Hart. And all of the B's and H's were bolded so that you knew that boo-hoo had the same BH as
yeah.
Bret Hart. A lot of work went into
There's
that
a
one.
lot of signs in these shows that I'm cataloging and forwarding to
Yes.
our mutual friend Sean, just to point out how, for example, someone sat at home. So I'm going to make a sign again on TV. I know. I'll take this piece of cardboard I found on the side of the road, and I'll just take a big Sharpie, and instead of writing Bret Hart, I'll write Bret Fart.
Yeah.
Then I'll hold that up, wave it around.
And did you see the one guy in the front row? He had a sign, and there was a heart, and the heart was straining itself.
Yes. That was
And it
on
said-
camera for a long time.
It said Bret Fart. Or the farts.
The Fart Foundation,
The
yes.
Fart Foundation.
This was cutting edge humor for these fans, and let's be honest, probably for Vince McMahon as well. He probably thought it was hilarious.
Then Bret's talking about there's no more guilt or innocence in WWE anymore. Like he was trying to explain to us fans that there are no baby faces and heels. It's all shades of gray. Vince Russo's famous shades of gray.
Ah, yes.
And the great irony was, maybe there are people watching it today that think, man, this was back when there were no baby faces and heels. Bret was so clearly a heel in everything that he did. And Steve Austin was an anti-hero, but he was so clearly a babyface in pretty much everything that he did. There was no shades of gray in Bret Hart and Steve Austin.
No. So, let's see. Bret vowed that one day one of them would beat Undertaker and add the World Championship to their collection of gold. He said, I've got a shock for everyone. I've got a major surprise now. It's going to be a shock to not just you lousy fans, but to my friends and my family. And the fans started to boo. He said, if you don't shut up, you won't learn my surprise. And they kept on booing, and he said, forget it! And they all went backstage. With a tease, he would reveal the surprise later.
Bret is the best character ever this week. He is, you know what he is? First off, when I watch his interviews, which I remember word for word because I must have rewound them 1,000 times, I see where I developed much of my shtick as heel Bret Hart. And what he is he's an 80-year-old man in a wheelchair.
Sounds like my gimmick.
Yeah. He's angry at all these youngsters for whatever it is.
Again.
Don't forget crotchety.
Yeah.
And he's funny, but he's not supposed to be funny, and you're not supposed to laugh. But he does things that are entertaining, but you're still supposed to hate him.
Yeah.
He's the best.
The butt of the joke is himself.
And you know what's amazing about it is, you know what Dave wrote about this?
Tell me.
Hart's interviews, which had been the best in wrestling for most of this year, the last 2 weeks have been endless babbling about American scum that last too long and remind one of a more articulate Iron Sheik. What?
Standards change.
Someone put that on the Observer Twitter.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Ahmed Johnson in a King of the Ring match.
If only Dave knew what was to come.
So we've mentioned here many times Ahmed's trunks were too small. Now we also talked about his strange habit of wearing knee pads on his thighs but not on his knees. But this week he had 2 knee pads on each thigh, and they were pulled all the way up, and so you had his buttocks falling out of his trunks and then being pushed up by the knee pads. Not a good look.
Last week he wore the long black whatever.
Yeah.
Wind pants or whatever. Just lose his luggage?
Well, that was so he could do the costume later.
I see.
Because apparently it was too much action to change pants in a half hour.
You know, I would watch Ahmed's trunks right up his ass for 1,000 straight matches before I would watch Marty the Moth with his waistband too low.
Yes, that's much creepier.
It's way worse.
Yeah. You're right. So,
By a country mile.
Ahmed threw him around a bit. Hunter survived.
Crazy, wild kicks.
Just every move Ahmed did was something that could kill a guy. Here's an out-of-control axe kick. Here's an out-of-control bicycle kick. Here's an out-of-control press slam. He would never just take you to the corner and throw an elbow or two.
No, of course not.
Everything was something that put your life in danger.
Jim Ross actually made a statement on commentary that was something to the effect of, Ahmed Johnson, if there's a criticism, it's that sometimes he can be too enthusiastic. I was like, that's the nicest way to say that you're too fucking out of control.
Settle down.
Calm down before you kill someone.
Settle down, kid. So Ahmed makes his comeback, and he's calling for the Pearl River Plunge when China gets in the ring and hits him with a chair for the DQ, and that's the end of the match. Way to go, King of the Ring. Off to a hot start. So Ahmed goes after Hunter on the ramp. China puts Ahmed in a chokehold. Geeks come out and separate everyone, and that was that.
God. What if they'd finally turned the corner on Ahmed? That's why Farouk beat him clean, and he was getting beat up by China. They had to figure it out eventually.
He was not done yet, but I'm pretty sure we're past his peak. The peak of his career.
He had a peak,
Yeah. Yes, actually.
I guess.
It did not last long, and it was not terribly high. But there was a time when he was like, he seemed to be the guy who was what Roman Reigns has been for most of the past 2 or 3 years. There was a time when Ahmed was the babyface in waiting. And he was the Intercontinental Champion, and which meant something in the 90s. And
I don't know if there was ever plans to make him the top guy.
there may not have been, but I don't know. Maybe this is before we started watching Raw.
I think you're remembering this differently, but
Yeah.
he sucked.
Oh, he did. I'm not saying he didn't suck. Don't get me wrong.
It's not that he just sucked. He sucked and he was dangerous.
Yes, he wiped out half the roster. Austin came out in street clothes, had a crutch with him for reasons I actually don't know.
Brett's crutch.
I see. So he refused to make excuses, said, look, things got out of hand. I got dropped on my head. Taker won the match, but he vowed he was going to be world champion someday. He runs down Brett for a while. And he starts talking about how the Hart Foundation is like a snake. And says, I'm from Texas. I'm out on the ranch. I know a lot about snakes. And he stops, and he turns to Vince and says, you ever seen a snake in person? Vince says, I'd rather not comment. And there's a long, very awkward, very long pause. And Austin says, that's because you're a chicken. And he moves on.
I have rarely seen Steve Austin struck dumb. It was this, and it was when he asked Cameron what her favorite match was.
Yes.
Those are the 2 times that I can think off the top of
That
my
is
head.
exactly what happened here.
He says, Vince, have you ever seen a snake in person? That's a pretty goddamn simple question.
It's a yes or a no.
Yes or no? Vince, for reasons that nobody could explain, decided I must plead the fifth. I must not reveal to the world whether or not I have ever seen a snake in person. Of all of the possible answers, that was the one that Austin did not expect, and he literally was struck dumb.
It's funny, too, because it's a yes or no question, but Vince made it awkward.
Yeah.
Why not answering?
Why couldn't he answer?
Was there some inside
Why couldn't you
joke?
just say, yes, I have seen a snake, or no?
Here's a hint. You called a lot of Jake Roberts matches.
Yeah, why don't you just say, Jake?
Yeah.
Instead, I prefer not to answer that question. And so Austin says, because you're a chicken.
Yes. And he goes back to the hearts. So he says, if you want to kill a snake quickly, you cut off its head. But I want to drag this out. I want to have fun with the hearts. So I'm going to cut off the snake's ass. And that's Brian Pillman. Said he had carried Pillman for years in the Bush Leagues and promised to cripple him again.
I just love on this show whenever someone brings up something so, Steve Austin calls Vince a chicken. And then earlier, Brett had called Steve Austin a loser
Yeah.
or something. And God, the heat he got.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how dare you call our guy a loser? What an insult. Now we got to have all of this fancy dialogue and just call a guy a loser. Just say someone's a chicken.
It's effective.
It's like it actually, the Charlotte match where the fans started chanting cheater.
Yes.
It's like, why didn't someone just call her a cheater? Probably get a good chant going.
Leif Cassidy versus Scott Putski. It's going well for a while. It was not by the end.
No.
At what point was it going on well?
Well, Leaf hit a
I didn't see that part.
very cool jumping spinebuster thing. I like that.
yeah.
I actually wrote this. There was like one horrible missed elbow spot early.
Oh, no. Let's talk about the real notable spot. They went to do a reversal. Al went to throw him into one corner, and they were supposed to do a reversal, and then Putski would throw him into the corner. Or maybe it was vice versa. It does not matter. All that matters is they lost their grip, yet they magically continued the spot
Yes.
via the force.
Yes. Yeah. The end of this fell apart. I believe Putski blew at least 6 spots in the last minute of this match. He won with a belly-to-back suplex.
God, it was a German right under the guy's head.
Yeah. And Cassie lost his mind. He wiped out Putski with a tope, threw him back in the ring so Putski could throw some sloppy punches and a clothesline. And Cassie hit the announce desk and insisted he had won.
So to recap, in the back on the sheet, it said, young Scott Putski, young 31-year-old Scott Putski, will beat Al Snow. Al Snow attacks Scott Putski afterwards. Putski then beats up Al Snow again, and Al Snow complains at the announcer's desk.
Not even complains.
Are they setting up a
Denies.
second match?
Apparently.
Why?
I don't know.
Why must this be a feud?
I do not recall how the career of Scott Putski went, except it was
Not
short.
well.
It was short.
God, it was bad.
This next segment was awesome. Mm-hmm. The Legion of Doom versus the Nation of Domination.
The Legion of Dudes.
Legion of Dudes, Hank and Hannibal. So LOD come out and they're not wearing those stupid singlets they had on last week. They're just their old gear. It looks great.
Yeah, because they gained 20 pounds since last week.
Well, that helps too. The Nation comes out on stage, all of them, and the music's playing, and they all do the salute. And the announcers are like, "Well, who's going to wrestle? Savio's got a match later. It must be Crush and Farouk." So the Nation has a huddle, except for PG-13, or as the announcers just call them, the Rappers. The Rappers are just holding their fists up and shouting at the Road Warriors. And you can see where this is going right away. In fact, the fact that they were dressed to wrestle was a clue.
Yeah. I was going to say, they were in their ring gear
Yeah.
as PG-13.
Yes.
Maybe they shouldn't have done that if they didn't want to wrestle the
Bad
LOD.
plan. But yes, the Farouk and Crush and company decided we will send PG-13 out there to wrestle the Legion of Doom. And PG-13 were not happy about this, but eventually they charged the ring. I know a lot of you have not seen PG-13 before. The closest I can to get this is imagine 2 Enzo Amores. Very small, very
pretty good.
very entertaining, very charismatic men. Especially JC Ice. So they hit the ring, a house of fire. The fire was quickly extinguished. There was some white trash kung fu comedy. Other than that, it was just the Road Warriors killing them. They hit doomsday devices on both of them, including Wolfie flying through the air and flipping onto JC Ice. And the best part about it was, as they're on animals' shoulders one at a time, waiting for Hawk to come out and kill them, they're either praying to the Lord above to guide them to the earth, or frantically waving to the Nation of Domination to come help them, and neither the Lord nor the Nation heard their prayers, and they were just destroyed.
They had their hands together, looking to the sky, like they're praying, looking to the sky. It was hysterical.
Yeah. This was a great segment.
How can anyone argue we don't need matches like this on Raw today?
I got no idea.
When the Legion of Doom came back, I didn't give a shit about them. They came back, and I seem to recall they had a match with, the Godwins.
It was the Headbangers, and it was 12 minutes of boredom.
It's fucking horrible.
We do have matches like this, but it's all the social outcasts and things like that. And,
No, you don't understand. Like this.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't give a shit about the Legion of Doom until this match. When this match was over, I was so into the Legion of Doom again.
Yeah.
Came out here, and they destroyed these two fools in such an amazing fashion. A double doomsday device where they send one guy into the other. Obviously, the jobbers helped a lot. The redneck kung fu. He jumps in the ring, and he starts doing Mark Briscoe's act. And he's running and jumping and kicking and chopping, and then he gets mowed over with a clothesline, and the whole building is on their feet like they're jumping with excitement.
Oh, yeah.
Vinny, you've never had a baby,
No.
but our baby's just now started to see things.
Please tell you you're not preparing her for the doomsday device.
This will make sense. So we gave her this she's got this little gimmick that it's a swing, okay? It just swings.
Sure.
And hanging above the swing are just 2 stars.
Okay.
That's it. Put the baby in the swing, and the baby's kind of just like looking around like baby, she's not looking at anything. And then finally she sees the star, and she's swinging, and she's looking at the star, and all of a sudden her arms start waving, and then she starts marching her feet. She's just filled with excitement that she has seen this. That's what these fans were all doing. They were in the air, they were waving their hands like bushwhackers, and they were marching in place. They were so excited that the Legion of Doom had destroyed this guy after he pretended he was going to do karate.
Why are the cameras not on?
Or
right now?
kung fu.
I don't know.
God, it was great.
That was a spectacle.
And these were grown men. These weren't babies.
Yes, you are.
Sweating right now with excitement about this squash match. Why can't we have more Mulkeys and JC Ices and Wolfie D's? Maybe less JC Ices, but...
Yeah, there's pros and cons to that.
Oh, talk about the commercial, Vinny.
All right. I've mentioned this to Craig. There was a random power outage in North Bend today. Apparently a balloon hit some power lines and they all went down. So
It was a big balloon, Brian. Don't.
I understand that, but like a hot air balloon?
no, it wasn't even that. Apparently, last I read, it was like a Mylar balloon you buy at Safeway.
What?
Oh, so there's going to be a new Roswell myth in North Bend. Is that what's going to happen?
And hey, why not? There's plenty of other weird
I was
stuff going on around
imagining
there.
like a weather balloon.
No, that's what I read. Now, I didn't know how long I was going to be out, so I left the house at noon to go down to Issaquah and do my work for the day, and because I had to go to Issaquah anyway. Anyway, but the point is, it turned out the power was only out for like an hour. I should have stayed home. But so I was in Issaquah working all day, including watching both these shows in a Starbucks. So I'm in a Starbucks when we get a commercial where essentially, I believe this may have been Kenny Bolin.
That was actually what I thought, but I don't think it was.
There was
It may have been.
an overweight fella in far too little clothing, and the gimmick was his wife gave him some lovin' because he began to dance like Shawn Michaels.
That's right.
What the hell?
Hey, this was better than the kid on the school
This
bus.
is not nearly as disturbing as the kid in the school bus. But as this man is jiggling around in his boxers, I'm covering my screen with both hands so that I don't get thrown out of the Starbucks. Jeez.
You know what was weird about the commercial was it wasn't like he just started dancing and then he got some lovin'. The girl claimed that Little Willie wasn't working.
Yes.
Yeah.
But apparently, just merely by dancing like Shawn Michaels, it began working again.
Moving on.
That was the weirdest erectile dysfunction commercial I've ever seen.
That is weirder than two people taking baths in separate tubs on top of a hill. You never seen the commercial?
What? No.
The Cialis commercials?
No.
You don't watch a lot of football, I guess.
You don't say.
This airs 1,000 times every fall. But it's a Cialis commercial. It's boner pills. And the commercial ends.
As if this whole discussion, nobody knew what we were talking about until you had to bring that up.
Well, I don't know if you knew what Cialis was. But the commercial ends, and they're up on top of a hill looking over a valley, and there's two bathtubs sitting there side by side, and a man's in one and a woman's in the other, and they're holding hands.
What does this have to do with anything?
Well, you brought the Little Willie.
These are all stupid commercials.
I agree.
Fuck you, commercials.
It didn't occur to me that you had not seen these.
No, I haven't.
Mankind came out to cut a promo on the stage. He said, yes, I threw a fireball at The Undertaker. I attempted to scar him forever, and I failed. The Undertaker responded by attacking Paul Bearer, an innocent man, and attacking him forever, or scarring him forever. He said, Uncle Paul is here, but he is self-conscious about his appearance. Please show compassion to this man. He brings out Uncle Paul, his head is thickly wrapped, as thickly wrapped as any mummy you've ever seen. Fans did not show him compassion. And Bearer said, Undertaker, I'm going to offer you one more chance at a reunion. And Mankind said, no more reunions. Bearer said, I must give him one more chance. And Taker, you must come back to me, or I will reveal a terrible secret.
Well, he was right.
A secret that Taker thought had died with his parents.
Too bad it didn't.
Thus began the storyline that would lead to A, the debut sort of one of the top WWE stars of all time in this gimmick, and B, some of the very worst segments in the history of pro wrestling on TV. And this occurred to me actually, like later in the show, I realized this. This show aired in May and paid off in October.
Yeah.
This is a long, long buildup.
Paul Bearer and Mankind were great promos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Breaking news.
Vince brought Farouk out for a promo. He said Farouk was now the top contender to Taker's title. Because, you see, Farouk had won a match at the prior pay-per-view.
Astonishing.
I know. So Farouk immediately points out there's never been a black WWF champion. Only token lesser champions. Ahmed got a IC title reign. Bobo Brazil was U.S. champion. He even began to stick up for his hated rival Ahmed Johnson. Said he had earned a championship match but never got one. He addressed the fans, said they thought black men were worthy of washing their cars or even raising their kids, but not worthy of being champion. Said no black man had even challenged for the world championship lately. He had a point. And Vince proclaimed these comments were racist, showing Vince as a moron who does not know what words mean. And finally, Farouk said there were black boys and girls watching at home, and he wasn't going to stand for this lack of opportunity anymore. It was a hell of a promo.
He said there's never been a black champion, but there will be at King of the Ring because WWE's white savior, The Undertaker, will be a dead man. Now, I thought The Undertaker was already a dead man, number one. Mm-hmm. And he is definitely white.
Oh, yeah.
Just for clarification.
Undertaker versus Savio Vega. Taker was selling a gimpy knee after the title match the night before, so Savio went after the legs to cut him off.
It was actually a legit bad knee that he also sold as a gimpy knee.
I was going to say he actually was limping on the way to the ring.
Well, it did not last long, and Taker cut him off at a chokeslam in the tombstone, and the Nation attacked for the DQ. Best part of this whole segment, they're beating up Undertaker. They beat him and beat him and beat him. Farouk calls them off. Wait. Now it's my turn. And he's ready to do something terrible when Taker does the zombie sit-up. And Farouk says, get him! And he'll jump on him again.
I do like that Farouk is getting a championship match, but he's got all of these dispensable geeks. And Undertaker is the champion, yet they will not allow him to beat Savio Vega.
Well, yeah. I don't know.
I thought Savio had his working boots on tonight. I thought he looked really good in this match.
I was bored,
Okay.
soulless by this
I
match.
just thought it was a short match.
Wow, Savio looked good. That's all I'm saying.
He had a good 4-minute match.
The other thing I noticed is that D'Lo Brown is in the Nation of Domination, and I had completely forgotten that.
Yeah.
Been there for a while.
I know, but
It's been kind of a rotating cast, so I don't think he's been there every week. But yes, D'Lo was there this week.
he was the best dressed man in the Domination,
Yes.
or the Nation.
Didn't they all dress the same?
No, he had
gonna
a suit
say.
on. He had a suit on.
Oh. Maybe it was a cheap suit. Farouk's leather hat may have cost more than that whole suit. Whatever you call that thing he's got.
It's one of those tearaway suits like Cesaro has.
Could be.
I bet it's not. The best moment in Raw ever happened when the ECW theme song played. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so great. This led to Rob Van Dam versus Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
This is the second or third time Jeff's been on Raw. RVD's debut. Lawler hits the ring. He cuts the anti-ECW promo, but says he had found the one guy in the ECW who agreed with him. And Rob said Lawler was speaking complete fact. ECW is full of low-budget, no-talent wannabes, and they can't hang into a star like me. And Lawler introduced him as Mr. Monday Night and said, please take care of this John Bon Jovi wannabe.
You know, when Jeff Hardy went to TNA, and all of a sudden everyone was like, God, he's so much bigger than we expected. You look back now, and knowing that, he was by far the tallest guy in the ring this evening. He was just gangly.
He was very skinny here.
Much taller than RVD, was much taller than Lawler. He towered over the referee.
Yeah.
But he was skinny, and we had Road Warriors and Ahmed Johnson.
Yes.
So it was like, God, look at this tiny little geek.
Plus, he was still 18 or very close to it.
He was young.
Yeah. So it was a total squash. Rob killed him for a while. And then Rob says, I'm going to do a somersault dive. And he was flying through the air, and he comes down, and Jeff is there, but it doesn't really catch him. And so first, Rob's legs hit the guardrail very hard. Then it appeared because his legs were in the air, his head hit the ground very hard. Mm-hmm. Ow!
I determined that this was not on Jeff Hardy. Rob Van Dam was completely out of control in this dive.
That sounds like Rob.
Yeah.
He just
Raw's been accused of this before.
jumped too far.
Yeah.
What the hell was Jeff supposed to do?
Plus, he outweighed Jeff by.
Plus, Jeff was 150
about 40
pounds.
pounds.
Yeah. So there's some chance of ECW, more chance of you sold out. And Rob hit the frog splash and then the split leg moonsault for the win. And Rob had undeniable star power. His offense looked great here. This was a tremendous debut. And then it got better. They played the ECW theme again.
Enjoy it while you can.
I will.
Then this.
Part 2 of the sit-down interview with Goldust.
I fell asleep,
This was just.
and I never nap.
This was just exactly like part 1. This was such a colossal.
Yeah, was
waste
there
of
anything
time.
new here?
No.
No, part 1 was better. This was just
Yeah, because you already saw it.
got teary-eyed. He talked about his larger-than-life father.
Did that last week.
Yeah.
I love you,
He
Dad.
said that last week.
Yeah.
Cool.
The only thing he knew, he added his daughter, mentioning her by name now.
Great. Wow.
I also like the whole point of this is to show that Goldust is, he's a real man. Mm-hmm. But then the very first thing before they go to it, Lawler says, he's going to cry. He's nothing but a sissy. All goes back to the same thing. Let's see. Taker's music played. He appeared on the screen for a promo. Ross asked him about Paul Bearer's earlier comments and also how he was doing after the Nation beat him up. First, he addressed Paul Bearer, said some secrets were better left in the past. And as for Farouk, he was going to go to the Vault of Souls and unleash a demon or something.
Isn't that in Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Those were his exact words. I'm going to go to the Vault of Souls.
Was it? I don't know.
I think it was the Well of Souls.
I see.
Unleash a demon to help me battle this nation of destruction. Destruction?
I don't know what to do.
I wish he'd kept talking, because as boring as that was, this fucking next match. Let me say something about this match. We had the Blackjacks, Furnace and LaFawn, Owen and Bulldog, and the Headbangers
It started off so good.
in a 4-way elimination match.
Did?
Yeah.
What was good about it?
Owen and Furnace?
For 30 seconds?
Yes. Actually, it was
These
LaFawn.
are low standards.
It was LaFawn, I'm sorry.
Furnace and LaFawn were out almost immediately. And then Furnace just came back and held down a Blackjack leg, and then they were eliminated.
And
so
that happened at commercial break.
both teams were gone, like, immediately.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to get rid of 2 teams in the span of 2 minutes,
Why not just do a tag match?
why? Yeah, why?
And they left the worst team in there
Yes.
with the Hearts.
Owen and Bulldog against the Headbangers, you buried the first 2 teams that got eliminated for no good reason. It was boring. Why were the Headbangers even in there with Bulldog and Owen? Thankfully, they won. I couldn't even
Well,
believe
let's not
this.
gloss over this finish. So, it appears they have the heat on Owen, I think, after Owen exposed the steel turnbuckle and then ran into it himself.
That was
And-
brutal, by the way.
Yeah. And Davey tagged in and ran wild for a while. Then they cut him off with a cheap shot from the apron. Kept on wrestling. Nobody cared. Owen got a hot tag. Nobody cared. It broke down into a 4-way, and Bulldog got the one with the power slam. As Ross noted, neither the pinner nor the pinny was legal. This
Who
is
cares? Thank God it was over.
this is a mess of a match.
Ross should have just kept quiet.
I believe
God forbid it get restarted.
believe he did say nobody cares. But all this was not entertaining. It was negatively entertaining. It was detracting from the show. It accomplished nothing other than killing off 3 challengers in one night. Who thought this was a good idea? What was their goal?
Vince McMahon. That's why he put it on television.
Well, I guess you're right.
I don't know what the goal was. The goal was apparently to set up a feud with the Furnace and
Blackjacks,
LaFawn, the Blackjacks.
which when you say it out loud, you realize what an absurd idea that is.
As soon as I said it, I was like, that's your idea?
That's how they did it.
You thought, I got a great idea. Let's have Furnace and LaFawn against the Blackjacks. I have a great idea. Let's do a 4-way, and one team will get pinned immediately, and then they'll cost the other team the match immediately, and then people will want to see them fight.
Yes.
Wrong! Sometimes there are things that are wrong on paper.
That was it.
And then in execution, you realize that was wrong. This was one of those times.
I think it was my granddad that used to say, son, you done worked your way back to a 0.
Your granddad was harsh.
He really was.
Man, between your granddad and Vinny's.
Heart Foundation came out for another promo.
God, Brett was back. How could Dave bury this? Did he watch the rest of the show?
I don't know. Brett quickly ordered his men to the back, and they protested, but they are loyal soldiers, and so they left. Now, as soon as they left, Brett promised, Austin, if you try anything, my pack of lions is watching, and they will tear you apart. So he calls out Shawn Michaels, the gutless little poser.
This was... this is just like... I didn't mention this last week, but we are now about 2 weeks away from the stack blowing and Brett and Shawn getting into a legit pull-apart brawl in the locker room. And Brett's out here, and he's just bearing his hatred for this guy. And like I said, he's an 80-year-old man in a wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
He hates everything about Shawn. He starts getting on this rant about, you got your ears pierced and your navel pierced.
Tattoos.
And your tattoos, and you're out here shaking your ass.
That's exactly how he said
I
it,
know.
too. That is factual.
I've watched this 1,000 times. This is so fucking hilarious.
It's funny, too, because
He's so disgusted.
Brett's in a wheelchair, and he's dressing this man down, who is standing above him, perfectly able to walk, and Shawn is sneering at him, looking down at him.
Shawn's looking down on him like a gargoyle.
Exactly.
He's looking down at him like Brett's his grandfather, and he's the grandson. And Grandpa Brett is chastising this youngster about your damn long hair and your earrings and that navel ring and how you go out there and you shake your ass. And he's sickened by it. And the funny thing is, I don't even know what Brett's point is. What were you trying to do here,
This
Brett?
was his big surprise. He doesn't like Shawn.
Your surprise is that you're going to try and talk him out of his degenerate ways? What was Brett's endgame? We never know.
I don't know. So Brett is still flapping his gums as the screen rolls to black. Ross announces, we'll keep the cameras rolling.
Which legitimately infuriated Shawn. Because Brett claimed, I didn't know we were out of time. I didn't get a time cue. I just kept talking. And Shawn thought, you fucker, you knew how much time was left, and you made sure to talk until we were off the air, so I didn't get my comeback. This was one of the big matches thrown into the tinder fire that was this feud. And Brett talked the whole time till it went off the air.
So they came back. Brett was now standing, daring Shawn to kick him. Shawn kicked him. Brett takes this great bump into and out of the wheelchair. Out come the Hart Foundation. I don't know how many times in my life I've seen, we talk about guys being trapped in the ring sometimes or whatever. This was 4 men doing everything they could to chase down one man in the ring, and one man doing everything he could to play keep away, and you've never seen it look so authentic. It was 4 guys trying to kill a guy, another guy trying to stay away.
With that said, I want somebody to find this clip and put the Benny Hill music
Sure.
behind it.
This was the Keystone Cops.
Yakety sax, yes. So eventually they caught him. They run him down on the stage. They are about to throw him off the stage to his doom when Austin appears and makes the save. He and Shawn clear the stage, and the show ends with Austin and Shawn jawing at each other and the Harts tending to Brett. My last comment on this was, if this was real, why was
It was real.
Well, it was, but why was Shawn there? He was not yet cleared to wrestle. He was not on this show at all, except when Brett surprised everyone by calling him out. Shawn decided, I will pack my bags. I will fly from Texas to Delaware just in case I'm needed.
That's what you came up with? The argument would be everybody's flown in for every show.
All right.
Although, here's the other thing. So, Brett, in his promo, says, I'm disgusted by you because you didn't have the guts to face me at WrestleMania. Which, of course, in storyline, that's not what happened. What happened was Shawn blew out his knee,
In storyline.
and he was not medically cleared to wrestle at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So we are now getting into this territory where they're starting to throw some shit in. They're starting to throw in a couple of jabs. And they don't give a shit if the fans know what they're talking about or not. They're talking to each other, which A, is what makes it so goddamn great, but unfortunately, B, also causes some long-term issues.
That's putting it mildly.
This was some short-sighted thinking by these two men.
And Vince.
Oh man, Vince didn't give a shit. Vince was over the moon that he was pulling the strings
Oh, yeah.
and putting these two guys butting heads against each other. This was glorious to him. Man, what great TV. Ha ha ha, till the fucking fight. And he loses another main event. Anyway, I enjoyed, well, the show was boring as hell, but that was a hell of an angle. And Brett was great.
Everything with the Hart Foundation was great.
Yeah, it was typical WWE.
Austin's promo was great. The Hart Foundation promo was great.
The main eventers were awesome, and everybody else just sucked.
Yeah.
Unbelievable!
So, Raw 210, May 19th, 1997. They recap the Brett-Shawn angle last week where Brett was still ranting as they went off the air, and then afterwards Shawn superkicked him, and we never did learn Brett's surprise. So they promised that this week we would learn his big surprise.
Boy, did we ever.
We did. Steve Austin came out for a promo. He said, yes, I saved Shawn Michaels last week, only because he was not saving Shawn, he was attacking the Hart Foundation. His exact words were, I saw the cheap shot and I damn well took it. He's going on about he and Shawn are not friends when out comes Shawn Michaels. And Shawn had his whole championship run when he was, usually in his gear. And then as of the past, basically since Mania, he's been professional Shawn and like slacks into blazer. Out he comes in jeans, sleeveless t-shirt, and the bandana tied in the front over his ponytail.
A la Tupac.
Gangsta Shawn Michaels.
A la Tupac.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's right.
Well, he is, but
So he comes out and says, yeah, they were going to throw me off the stage, but let me tell you something. Son, he kept calling him son and poking his finger in his chest. Said, I was thrown off ladders before you got here. I was thrown off cages before you got here. And I keep getting up fighting. I would have been fine if they'd thrown me off that stage. Austin told him to leave. They started brawling. Geek separated them. The Hart Foundation appeared on the big screen, laughing at these idiots. And no one challenged the two of them to a tag title match for next week.
oh, you know what that means.
It's going to be awesome.
Since it's here, Brian, did you, as soon as this show was over, did you just watch next week's show?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Wow.
Did you watch it?
No,
No.
but I know how much you love that match. And I know why.
Yeah.
It's a great match.
Well, the thing is, I gotta wait and see if it's as great as I remember.
I see.
Because I do remember it being one of the all-time great tag team matches of the 90s.
Yeah.
At least in WWE. I would think that Misawa and Kawada and Kobashi
All
may
Japan
have
with their main events may have been better.
had some better ones than this, but yeah, this is they are setting up one of my favorite matches that I have not watched in a decade or more.
Yeah.
Oh man, I hope it holds up.
So now you're anxious.
The
What if it sucks?
Undertaker and Shawn Michaels Hell in a Cell match holds up.
Does it?
Yeah.
When did
So
you watch this?
I watched it several times,
Oh, okay.
so I can only presume that this one's going to hold up as well.
So they said they would find another partner. They wouldn't team with each other. And eventually it all calms down. And they're announcing that Vader was supposed to wrestle Crush in the King of the Ring match, but it's not going to happen. They showed Vader backstage. So for his match that he's not going to do, he had to fly to wherever they were. Alabama. He had to put on the Vader gear. He had a big, thick bandage over his busted nose. They needed to put the Vader mask on over the bandage and then just pace back and forth in his locker room. That was his job this week.
Yeah.
And they explained that in his brutal, violent, savage match against Ken Shamrock at the pay-per-view, his nose had been busted, and they showed Ken punching him and kneeing him in the face repeatedly. And you watch and you think, yes, my nose may be busted now.
He actually suffered like way more injuries than they even acknowledged. He got beat up way worse.
I didn't see it for many years. I watched it for the first time like 3 or 4 years ago, if that even. But yeah, I believe it. Men should not punch each other like that. It's not healthy.
Think of all the untrained men you've been in the ring with.
It's been a lot of them.
You got lucky.
Sitting across from one.
How dare you? You trained me.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. What does that mean?
I don't know. So we had Crush versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. So the gimmick is Hunter was eliminated from the tournament via DQ in the very first match, and now he is back in. Why? A, because Vader got hurt. B, they brought in Jerry Briscoe.
Okay, before you get to Jerry Briscoe, I want to go back to that opening segment that they had with Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin yelling at each other. This was not quite as bad as the day that Shawn Michaels lost his smile, but this dude was not...
Yes.
How can I say it? He's had better days.
He wasn't firing on all cylinders.
He was not firing on all cylinders.
was-
Thank God I remembered that old phrase.
Barely in condition to perform.
So, Gerald Briscoe comes out, and he's 100% sober, and I could not understand a goddamn word he said.
He was much worse than Sean.
Yeah, but in a totally different way.
Yeah.
Like Sean at 25%, which may be giving him too much credit
Yeah.
in the vocalization department, in the firing department. Sean at 25% was 200% more coherent than Gerald Briscoe. I fucking, not only did I listen to it twice, I read The Observer to try to get Dave's, insight or his interpretation of this. I still don't fucking know what's going on here. Please explain.
As best I can tell, Briscoe put the heat on the referee. So last week in Hunter's match against Ahmed Johnson, the referee did not explain to Hunter that he would be eliminated from the tournament with a DQ.
Yeah,
I guess Hunter just assumed it was all street fights.
that's what it was.
So Hunter thought if I lose via DQ, I may advance.
Or that there would be no DQ. Or something. Now, this is strange because he was disqualified last week. He never protested.
Well, I mean, what obviously happened was that Vader was supposed to do this match, but he got hurt. So they had to retroactively book.
Yeah,
But that's the best they could come up with.
I guess.
Yes,
this was dumb.
It was a
Why don't
very,
they say
very lame
Vader
story.
got hurt, so we're putting Hunter back in?
Well,
He's an
He
injury
didn't deserve
replacement. Well, either did Bob Holly.
actually, Bob Holly did based on this show.
All right. So to avoid legal action, they said they were putting him back in. So they always have in this company.
Legal action.
Yeah.
He's going to sue because he was so stupid that he misinterpreted or didn't understand the rules.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same rules you always have, but I thought it would be different this time. Their sports reference was that the San Antonio Spurs had won the NBA draft lottery and would no doubt be drafting Tim Duncan. I bring this up because 19 years later, Tim Duncan's still playing. So they had this match. Triple H and Crush.
Triple H and Crush.
It sucked.
Fuck, this match was horrible.
Crush could not take any of Hunter's offense, nor could he sell it.
Nor can he deliver any of his own.
I would rather watch him on offense than watch him take moves. Both guys tried to cheat to win, but Savio kicked Crush on accident and Hunter pinned him. And Crush and Savio began to shove each other until Farouk ran down to make peace.
Great. Clarence Mason took a bump. He's still around. I wonder if they were paying these guys.
The whole nation.
Because you got to remember, 96 was the year that they lost more money than any other year in history up to that point. They lost $6 million.
Yeah.
This was the year after. It's not like everything totally turned around.
No.
And I look at this fucking nation, and it's like you had PG-13, and they were probably making $25 a night, I would guess. And you had Crush and Savio. What's so funny?
It's probably
How much do you think they were making in Memphis? $25 a night.
Okay.
So if you offered them $35 a night,
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd do a Raw.
Sure.
Or Vince would say, listen, I'm going to pay you $10 a night because I'm giving you national exposure on Raw. And they probably would have said, sure. Anyway, all these geeks that they were paying every week. Clarence Mason,
There's like a dozen people there, yes.
he got a paycheck.
We knew guys that did jobs when WWE came through town, and they're paying them $250 a night.
Yeah, because they were jobbers.
Yeah, I'm sure they're paying PG-13.
No, but Craig, this
more
is
than
a true
$25
story.
a night.
In the 80s, they would pay the actual main roster guys $50 for a television taping. And that's what Vince would say. They would make money to do their house shows. But if you were doing a television taping, he would say, I am giving you the opportunity to make a name for yourself. And they would be paid a $50 fee. The stars. He got away with it. Anyway, the point
We
is,
need a union.
I can't believe Clarence Mason was here.
Owen Hart versus Bob Holly. Before this began, they had clips of fans in Alabama wishing Bob Holly luck because he's one of their own.
Can you imagine if this would have aired in 2016?
Then they aired a video of Jerry Lawler interviewing two other Alabama fans, apparently legit, and all he did was make jokes about their teeth and inbreeding. All this comedy went over their heads, and it ended. This was bullying.
If you look up slack-jawed yokel in the dictionary,
Yeah.
this man and his son would be there.
Now, Vinny, have you watched any of the Golden Truth segments? Do they air on Hulu?
Not a one.
Okay. This week, I'm pretty sure they're going to air it on Hulu.
Okay.
Because they're finally a team.
Ah.
Now, all I had on Twitter last night were people telling me that they were turning off the show because they were so offended by this Golden Truth thing. And I was like, you guys need to watch this raw.
What?
This segment here with the two locals, you think you're offended by the Golden Truth. You should watch this.
Yeah.
By the way, I said yokel, not local.
I made sure to change it to local.
So, Owen Hart versus Bob Holly had a fun, short match. And then Bob Holly, who was, of course, the local hero, got the big upset. Non-title match, but he turned the sharpshooter into a cradle and won. And Bulldog and Anvil went after him, and he fled through the crowd.
So logically, shouldn't Shawn Michaels or Steve Austin try to recruit Bob Holly to be their partner
Yes,
in the
actually.
tag match next week, right?
Yes.
Did anyone mention that at all on the show?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bob looked good. Did a Hurricane Rana. And
Yeah. Bob looked great.
he wasn't mean Bob Holly, so he didn't try to kill anybody.
Nice. Friendly Bob Holly won in his hometown.
Friendly Bob Holly. I would buy that shirt.
Yeah,
Went up for all the moves.
sure did.
So they
Had
recap
wacky music. Was
He
that
did
his
have
music?
wacky
Was that
music.
his real music?
when he was a race car driver, yeah.
Was it? Okay. I don't know if they dubbed something
as far as I remember.
because that music sucked.
They recap The Undertaker talking about Paul Bearer's secret, and then we got something very wacky. It was product placement, where Jim Cornette went to demand Sonny sign some contracts, but she blasted him with a super soaker, and then declared, "Wetter is better."
Yeah,
And I thought of 800 jokes, none of which I'm going to say right now.
that was the point.
Yep.
It's the Attitude Era. Wetter is better with Sunny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it, bro.
Wetter.
It's an entendre.
It's better.
So Michael's got a promo backstage with Ken Shamrock. He said, "This is the partner I want for next week." Smart man.
Did anyone else besides me notice that the whole time that Sean was talking, he was also looking at himself in the monitor?
No, but I believe you. I've seen it enough times that
How messed up am I?
I don't think that's what he was thinking. He's probably thinking, man, I look hot in this bandana.
should have worn this years ago.
I look like Tupac today.
And that's how he would said it too.
Yeah.
In his head.
I was the first black WWF champion. I
That's
don't know what
right.
Vince is talking about.
They cut a total babyface promo about teaming up, and Sean wanted to team with the world's most dangerous man, and Ken said it means a lot that you want a man of your stature to want to pick me to team with.
Ken is trying so hard not to laugh as he's next to this geek.
So we had a brief power issue, it appeared. They mentioned a storm knocking out the signal, and when they went back to the arena, it wasn't total darkness, but it was backup lights and one very bright light on the announcers. So they aired part one of Jim Ross's sit-down interview with Mankind.
That's right.
This was better than Goldust.
You know what I loved about it was the John Williams Star Wars version of Mankind's music that played in the
There
background
was
the whole time.
Yeah.
Normally I mock when they play music in the background of stuff. You haven't watched Raw on Hulu, have you?
Jeez.
But
Man.
they play the music in the background of.
Wait till Dean Ambrose reveals that there's going to be a cage match with Chris Jericho at the pay-per-view. And as he's describing all of this, there is, in fact, wacky music playing in the background.
Is it his own music?
No.
Oh.
It's some goofy tune.
It's haunting.
It's asylum music.
Intense.
God.
Like when you go to an asylum and there's music playing over the speakers. That's what this is.
That silence sounds awesome.
Oh,
They're literally doing Lethal Lockdown, basically.
yeah.
It's a fucking cage with gimmicks,
I see.
including a plant.
Of course.
Mitch.
So, Mankind tells a story, and he wrote about this in great detail in his first book, and how all of this was 90% true, 10% enhancement, exaggeration. But he got a cut lip as a young boy in the schoolyard, and that was when he learned he could handle pain better than anyone else. Talked about watching Chief Jay Strongbow and Bruno Sammartino and the Valiant Brothers in New York. He says, I was picked on by clicks, for lack of a better word.
Oh,
Subtle. And in high school, they would throw worms at him. He made the mistake of trying to prove them wrong by eating one. And this backfired on getting him over. After that, he could get no dates, and he explained Getting through high school without ever dating a girl would scar your soul for life. I can confirm this. That was an unbelievably awesome segment.
That's what Vinny got out of it. He also didn't date anybody.
No, I did not. I never ate a worm, but
You never ate a worm?
never ate a worm.
Wow.
Ever jump off a building?
I was kind of sad about this
no.
because Mankind's there and he's talking about how when I was young, I found out that I was able to withstand pain. And that's what made me different. I could withstand pain better than anybody else in the world, I believe were his exact words. It's sort of like, when he was young, I'll bet he withstood a lot of pain, but then, he healed. Now he's 50,
Yeah.
and he's in pain all the time.
That's true.
Doesn't pay off there in the end, unfortunately.
I'd forgotten. They're doing this again next week, and I'd forgotten they actually had the King of the Deathmatch tournament footage
Yeah.
on WWE Raw.
Oh, yeah. Lawler cut a quick promo whining that Paul Heyman had legally blocked Rob Van Dam from appearing on Raw. How dare he hold that man to his contract? Leif Cassidy versus Scott Taylor. That would be Scotty Too Hottie making his Raw debut. He looked fine for a while. Then he slipped on a dive. And from that point on, he was going 1,000 miles an hour. I guess trying to cover it up. And Cassidy cut him off with an Alabama slam, of all things. Taylor bounced a foot in the air, but he recovered and he rolled up out of nowhere for the win. The second roll-up finish in the show. And Cassidy snapped. He screamed to the announcers, "I am not an idiot. I am not a dork. I am not a goof." There's some debate to be had there.
I am not an idiot. I am not a goof. I am not a dork. Mm-hmm. Wow. He can't take it anymore, he said. All this losing to guys like Scott Casey.
Taylor.
Or Scott Taylor.
Is this when... Does the Job Squad come into effect here in the next month or so?
I forget. There's that down the line. We have the debut of Head. We have his ECW run.
Okay.
All this to look forward to. Steve Austin searching for a tag team partner. He says, "I know. I'll ask Sable."
Sure.
Why wouldn't you?
He knocks on Sable's door. She says, "Just a minute." He opens said door, and there is Sable with her back to him, topless. She screams, turns around, covers herself with an Austin 316 shirt.
Ha, what a coincidence.
That's convenient. He says, "I thought you said come in." She screams at him to leave. He says, "I'm just looking for a tag partner. Jesus Christ." Shuts the door, goes away. No one could have pulled this off better than Steve Austin did here. Heart Foundation came out for a promo.
God, this was an amazing segment. Doom comes next week. We're 1 week away from Doom.
Yeah.
And it all... You know what's amazing about this whole story? Let me recap some of this so I can talk about this. First off, Brett is upset that last week Sean would not even allow him his right to free speech. He ended up super kicking him out of a wheelchair. I guess that's restricting his rights. Talks about all these goddamn rednecks and everything like that. So he announces his big surprise. He says, "We all know that Shawn Michaels is coming back, but the big surprise is that there's another man, a hero that is coming back at the King of the Ring with a bad knee. It is myself." And he says, "Shawn, I have got an offer that you will not be able to refuse." He says, "I'm going to challenge you to a match at the King of the Ring, and if I can't beat you in less than 10 minutes, I will never wrestle in the United States again." That's the big surprise. So then Shawn shows up on the Titantron. And Shawn, if you recall earlier, was at 25%. He was not firing on all cylinders this evening. So Shawn gets ranting and raving. It says, "You couldn't beat me in 60 minutes at Mania. What makes you think you could beat me in 10 minutes at the pay-per-view? Oh, your gang," etc., etc. Then he starts talking about how lately Brett can't go 10 minutes with anything. And then, of course, he says the famous line, "Even though lately you've had some sunny days, my friend, you still can't get the job done." And I thought, you know what? That sunny days line was the straw that broke the camel's back. Because Brett was trying so hard in the ring to not sell that he was furious about this. But you could see that he was fucking furious about this because this did lead to problems with his wife. And I was thinking, if Sean would have showed up at 80% on this day, or 100%, if he had been firing on all cylinders, would this dumb shit have said that line? And if he hadn't said that line, how could the whole history of wrestling maybe been different? Because if he had not said that line, maybe this keg would not have exploded. And maybe the only reason he said it was because he was not firing on all cylinders.
It did have massive impacts for something that at the time seemed so completely innocuous.
But it wasn't.
Oh, no, it was not.
But then we wouldn't have all those creative finishes with the Montreal Screwjob.
Damn
19
it.
years later.
So the other thing that was in this was Sean, he would accept Brett's challenge, but only if the Hart Foundation were handcuffed to the ring posts
That's
during
right.
the match.
And you know, the other thing is, even if he had not said the Sunny Days line, there's no guarantee that they still wouldn't have gotten a fight a week or two later.
You never know.
This was heading for the cliff. But it is funny to think about that the famous line that caused all of this to happen was done on a night where Sean had had better days.
Well, have you watched what the hell do they call it? Jim Ross just sit down and interview with Brett and Sean. It was one of the first things they put on
Yes.
the
Oh,
network.
yeah.
And Sean basically says he doesn't remember much. He was doing a lot of drugs back then. So if he had been firing on all cylinders on this night, he probably wouldn't have been the next week anyway.
That's
So
true.
It may have been inevitable.
It probably was inevitable, but it was funny to...
It is amazing to look back, and there's this one line that no one in the crowd got, by the way.
Of course not.
But it caused everything. And you were right about Brett. He was a total pro at first. He didn't flinch, didn't react, didn't blink. But then when the promo's done and the music's playing and he doesn't think he's on camera anymore and he's pacing back and forth in the ring, that's an angry Canadian.
Oh, yeah. And when you think about it, in storyline, he challenged Sean, and he got Sean to accept. So he should have been happy. Mm-hmm. But he was not happy.
Oh, no.
He
A
was,
sad day in Bret
he
Hart
was
land.
thinking, I cannot wait for this match. I'm going to beat the shit out of this guy.
Goldust did his entrance. I'm going to say the whole thing again because I mumbled so bad. Goldust did his entrance. And he asked who wants to see Marlena, and everyone cheers. And he promised 2 Marlenas. And out come Terry Runnels and Dakota. Little Dakota Runnels.
Can I speak on this just for a second?
As a father, go ahead.
No, not as a father.
Oh, all right.
As a fan. With the last 2 weeks, when they've had Goldust with the sit-down interview, and then them bringing out his little girl and the mommy of said little girl, they have done more to neuter this really interesting character in the last 3 weeks than anything I've seen in a long time.
You know what is amazing about that you mentioned that? Here we are in the Attitude Era. We've got a topless Sable. We've got Shawn Michaels talking about Bret Hart's Sunny Days. We've got all of this other stuff. And meanwhile, now they want to make Goldust normal.
Right. I remember going to a house show years ago. I was with my family and then a friend of mine and his family. And after the show, Chimmel comes down and is asking fans around ringside what they liked on the show and what they hated on the show. Everybody said, I don't like that Goldust character. He's creepy. I don't like my kids seeing it. On and on and on and on.
What year was this? Who the hell's mowing the lawn?
Somebody's mowing the lawn outside
Jesus
Brian's
Christ,
house.
it's 9 p.m. Hopefully everyone can hear that.
Nobody can hear that. Trust me. Yeah, so it's probably right around this time, maybe a little earlier.
Man,
So,
poor guy. No wonder he had to do that sit-down interview. Should have mentioned that.
yeah. So the little girl, they tried to get her to cut a promo, but she just wanted to bounce in the ropes. She ran around a lot, and the crowd loved her because she's an adorable little girl. And Goldust says, "This is the joy of my life," and everyone cheers, except Jerry Lawler, who says, "Need to get a life then."
Wow. What a dick.
I like to add, Jerry Lawler has children.
But he no-sold him.
He clearly did.
He's probably dating her by now.
That's a terrifying thought. Goldust versus Rockabilly. Now I know why Marlena left. Because she and Dakota disappeared backstage. So, talk about times changing and things you see here that you would never see on TV in 2016. Goldust is being Goldust, and as he's punching Rockabilly in the corner, he stops and gives him a big kiss, and then keeps on punching him. Lawler says, well, no wonder his dad hates him. How do you feel, Vince McMahon, if your son was dressing up like a woman? And I thought, oh boy, that's uncomfortable. Now, Craig,
Yes, sir.
you may have not been into this whole, and I agree the promos were not very good, but the thing with Dakota, and it may not have been your cup of tea.
Sure.
These fans loved Goldust
Yeah.
in Alabama.
I had no problem with Goldust.
Yeah.
My wife had a problem with my daughter watching Goldust, though.
Well, I'm saying this, what they've done the last 3 weeks. You said he was neutered.
Yeah.
It got him over, at least for one night.
I did. He was very, very popular here
very
in Alabama.
Eventually-
As Vinny noted, in Alabama.
Yeah.
I understand, but the really interesting androgynous character that they had, just a guy.
He's playing dress up. Yes.
He is now just a fella.
Yeah.
He's a family man.
So Honky tried to interfere in the match, but Goldust got the guitar and broke it over Honky's head, and the ref saw this and called for the bell, so Rockabilly won.
Yeah, he hit Honky Tonk Man, and they DQ'd him.
So let's review this. They've done it kind of a slow burn with Goldust, because they did the whole thing with Lawler where he came out and said, no, he's not actually, as Lawler said, queer. They did this whole sit-down promo thing. They bring his actual adorable little girl daughter into the ring. Everyone loves him. He can't beat Rockabilly.
Man, wait till he watches The Golden Truth this
Ah.
week. You know what's the most amazing thing about this to me? I saw the Honky Tonk Man take a bump.
He did.
I couldn't believe it.
He left his feet.
I actually rewound it to make sure it was real. I thought they might have got a stuntman in there.
He didn't slip.
No, it's like another guy.
Yeah. Ahmed Johnson did a backstage promo.
I got to give this guy credit.
Ahmed?
This was his best promo I've ever seen. I could understand him, so that might have helped a little bit.
So he's 1 for 100.
Yeah, he vowed to be the first black champion in WWE history, after HBK, of course. And he was much easier to understand here.
Speaking calmly.
Yeah, he was calm. He did shriek at one point like a wild beast. Every now and then he'll do that. He'll just shriek like he's raging Alex Riley. And it's not bad.
So, because Farouk is challenging for the title, as you know, it's a Vince McMahon thing. He gets a catchphrase in his mind, and he wants everyone to say it in every segment, in every show. And this is just this one, only the segments involving the main event program. But one of my all-time most hated phrases: playing the race card. So asking about that over and over and over again. And Ahmed said, "Listen, I have white fans, I have black fans, I have Hispanic fans. They all love me, and they demand I speak the truth. And the truth is,
I'm a Hispanic fan that I don't love Ahmed. It's a good promo, but...
well, he didn't say all Hispanics love me.
Oh,
He's not Donald Trump. He ran down Farouk, said he's a liar, he is a racist, and he is a cheat, but last week, he spoke the truth. There never has been a black man that has been WWF champion. He says, I'm not a racist, and I vow to be the first black champion himself. So that was that. Austin met with Harvey Whippleman and Brooklyn Brawler in search of a tag team partner.
Brooklyn Brawler cameo, 31 years. No, 20 years. 20 years. How many years ago was this? 20 years ago?
19.
19.
19 years ago. 19 years to the week that he was fired
Yes.
after 31 years in the company. Ironic.
Strange timing.
He wanted to be Austin's partner.
Yeah.
Austin didn't want to be the
Austin
partner.
said no.
But he wanted Harvey Whippleman? That doesn't make any sense.
He told Harvey, stay in the apron. I will take care of all the fighting. Everything will be fine. They replayed Sunny and her Super Soaker.
Wetter is better.
Wetter is better, she said. Rocky Maivia versus Farouk.
Vince McMahon's exact words here.
No,
You wrote them down, didn't you?
Not word for word.
Vince is talking about Ahmed and Farouk, and he goes, you know, they're right. Quote, there has never been a World Wrestling Federation champion of color.
There's that dude. That's actually not what I thought you were talking about, but that's what he said. Yeah. Iron Sheik, I guess, was white.
Sure.
Pedro Morales was white.
The Rock at this point was still white.
He hadn't been champion yet.
It was Samoan. Make sure he was white or Samoan.
Rock had not been champion yet.
I know, but it was weird because like they acknowledged that his father is Rocky Johnson, but it was like they would never mention that he was black.
I see. No, what blew me away was when Vince said, apologizing, things have gone a little long. Due to time constraints, we will not see the Godwins match tonight.
It's probably for the best, really.
Oh, I was very sad.
He also noted the nation was getting smaller because Wolfie D and JC Ice, and I was stunned he knew their names.
It had been written down somewhere, I'm sure.
And had not returned from the beating they had suffered at the hands of the Legion of Doom. He implied they would not be back, and I don't think this nation was long for this universe. That he may be right. So Farouk tried to recruit Rock. It failed. They did a short, basic match. Rocky made his comeback. He went up top, but Farouk crotched him and hit the Dominator for the win. And Crush and Savio go to put the boots to Rocky, but Farouk calls them off and orders everyone to the back.
At the beginning of the match, Farouk raised his hand, raised his fist, and Rocky was hesitant. And he started to, and then thought better. And then they didn't put the boots to him at the end, so you can see it coming. Rock's joining the Nation Domination.
It is on its way. Backstage, there was some kind of brawl in absolute, complete, total darkness.
Yes.
The Hart Foundation beat up Bob Holly.
We were told this. I
They
can't
were-
verify.
They were thinking what I was thinking. This man would be a great partner for Shawn Michaels.
I guess.
Beat Owen Hart.
I'm wondering if this goes somewhere. Does Bob Holly wrestle Owen again? Well, not next week, but at some point. He beat the Intercontinental Champion.
That's right.
I don't know. Undertaker came out for a promo.
Yes.
Undertaker explained that as a dead man and a reaper of wayward souls,
Yes.
he's therefore not a racist.
He's yeah.
That is what he said.
That is what he said.
He said if Farouk does not end up as the champion, it's not because he's black, it's because he couldn't beat The Undertaker.
That's fair.
I just know that he opened his promo. First of all, Vince's question was not about Farouk. He asked, this was not his exact words, but this is what he asked. What is the secret Paul Bearer is using to blackmail you? Taker didn't want to talk about this. Talked about Farouk, and he says, I am not white, I am not black, I am the reaper of wayward souls. Now, I get his point, but he's factually wrong. This man's white. Very white.
He's not a good guy. He's
Not-
not a bad guy.
He's the reaper of wayward souls.
He's a white guy.
And I don't mean Caucasian, I mean the color, white.
He's a pale man.
Yes. So Vince asked him about the secret again, and Taker said this is not the time. But Paul Bearer appears in the big screen and says, yes, this is the time. He talks about making a promise at the graves of Undertaker's parents. He's going to keep this secret, but then Taker had burned him. And now it is his time to hurt Taker. Taker says, I need more time. Bearer says, you have 7 days. 7 days to return to my side. Or he's going to spill the beans. And Taker was sad.
Paul Bearer's head was wrapped up in such a comical fashion. It was all wrapped up. There was a spot for his eyes, and then across the nose, more bandaging, and then conveniently, no bandaging over his mouth.
No.
When Undertaker's out there talking, first off, it's wacky enough, but they go to the big screen, and there's Paul Bearer's giant head wrapped up like a mummy. And the moment you see it, you're laughing.
Yes.
Because it's so goddamn ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
When I was young, I got to know Paul Bearer because he was on the show a million times. He was a super nice guy. But in the 90s, I was not really much of a Paul Bearer fan. I thought it was corny. I thought it was hokey. I thought it was stupid.
Because you were in your 20s.
But you know what? I look back now in my 40s, and it was corny and it was hokey, but goddamn, that guy was a great promo.
Yeah.
This was a fucking great promo this guy cut right here. Dressed up as a mummy with shit dialogue. And it was awesome.
You can't half-ass this kind of thing.
No.
You got to go full bore.
Oh, man, he went full bore, all right. 7 sunsets
That's what he
the
said.
Undertaker has. And if you're not back with me, if you're not subservient to me, I shall open Pandora's box.
Yeah. He said all this. Then he cackled.
Fuck, it was great. He's so great.
The main event of Jim Neidhart versus Steve Austin went about a minute. The Hart Foundation all ran in for the DQ.
Pillman's doing commentary, and he's talking about, he's just going crazy. And
It's already there, by the way.
Yeah, he's talking about payback. And then he goes, you know what paybacks are, Jerry? And Jerry says, yeah. And Pillman goes, they're a bitch. And he was so happy to be able to say bitch on television.
So they're all beating up Austin 4-on-1 when Michaels appears with a chair to clear the ring. No Shamrock. I guess he just said, yes, Sean, I will team with you next week. Now I'm leaving.
I don't blame him. I guess as far away from Sean as possible after that.
So Michaels and Austin have a face-off, and then Jim Ross over the house mic announces that per the orders of Gorilla Monsoon, next week it will be Owen and Bulldog versus Austin and Michaels for the titles. They both said, no, that will never happen, and they started brawling again to go off the air. And all I can think was, I bet when this show ended, Brian just immediately watched next week's show to watch that match.
I didn't.
I'm not really making fun of you.
No, I'm giving it a week to
I just know how much you love it.
build the interest.
Yeah.
You know what else was interesting about this show? Going back again to Shawn Michaels not firing on all cylinders. It's very clear to me watching this man was not firing on all cylinders. Was it very clear to you?
Oh, yeah.
And you as well? Okay. So imagine the wrestlers that were in the ring with him. At the beginning of the show, you got Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's in the ring, and he's going back and forth doing this promo with Shawn Michaels. And he knows that at the end of this, it's going to break down into a brawl. And he had to trust this guy to have a brawl and not kill him. Same at the end of the show, they did the exact same thing. And not only that, Shawn is going to hit everybody with chairs, including Owen in the head.
That was brutal.
You know what's funny, though? You'd have never known from watching him physically perform that there was anything wrong with him. He was unbelievable. He swung that chair great. He barely touched anybody in the wrong spot. He hit him in the back, but he barely touched him in the head. He had a great brawl with Steve Austin at the beginning and at the end. Didn't lay a hand on anybody. But he couldn't even speak. That's a talented professional wrestler right there. That's a man who may have done a few matches, not firing on all cylinders.
Practice makes perfect.
That's right.
Practice makes perfect. That's right.
It's like when Tito Ortiz would go running Big Bear to train his body to work under adverse conditions.
That's what Sean
Sean
did.
did the same thing, only it wasn't oxygen.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, let's start on Raw.
Retro Raw, number 211, May 26th, 1997. Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels came out for a promo. Vince outright noted that the more Austin cheated, the more people liked him.
Was I the only one that thought the match was starting and I just got really excited and then I got mad because they were just talking?
Yes.
Okay.
I also thought the match was starting, but when it was delayed, I was not angry.
God, they play Sean's music and Austin's music and I was just giddy with excitement.
See, I
don't have to wait. It's right here.
I can't believe you waited 7 days.
I did because I'm trying to relive this the way I lived it back then.
See,
I watched it at the same time every Monday, like it's on the clock.
I thought that match actually closed the show. I was wrong.
Oh, no, they had something much better.
that's something more important.
You know what, though? He was the champion.
Sure.
Undertaker was.
No, he was.
So he should have been the main event segment on the show.
So Sean's out there in his Homer Simpson t-shirt. They agreed they hated each other, but they vowed to kick some ass. And before they could get into it with each other, the Legion of Doom came out and had a stare down with them. Said, we want a title shot if you win. And Austin and Sean can't agree on anything, but they did agree, sure, why not? We'll fight you next week. This led to Legion of Doom versus Brian Pillman and Jim Neidhart in, believe it or not, Brian Pillman's official in-ring Raw debut.
That's crazy.
He has been around and hurt for a year.
By the way, last week we were talking about Shawn Michaels and his thing on his head, his bandana.
Yeah.
You're comparing him to Tupac.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
As coincidence would have it, my mother-in-law has been making all these headbands for Paisley. Mm-hmm. And one of them is, in fact, it goes around the back and it ties in front. And so now I can't stop calling her Tupac when she wears that thing. All because of this stupid show that we watched last week.
That's the way it is.
Makes you feel any better, Prince used to do the same thing. So
I don't think although there is the Paisley tie-in.
Sure.
I don't think that's why she made that headband. Mostly because everyone wants to know if it's a boy or a girl. Headbands make it easier.
right.
Even though I wore one for last 3 years.
And the
Anyway,
jury's still out.
how dare you?
So, Vince is explaining this is Pillman's first match since his, I believe his first match since the Hummer crash, wasn't it?
I would guess
Yeah,
if this
'cause
was his first Raw match.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice Brian Pillman's legs or lack thereof?
They're
skinny,
very skinny. He
and
covered
he's-
them.
And he's got enormous lifts in his boots. Yeah. That's what I was looking at. But Vince was sure to note that Pillman was in a car accident, he was the victim of a drunk driver. So It's important to get that out there.
Do not. Give me a break. What a load of shit.
Well,
Fucking Shawn Michaels out there last week, and Vince is going to chastise us about drinking and driving.
Yeah.
I mean, he's right, but still, it's just, come on.
so this is a clusterfuck of a match.
I actually thought this was decent for a Legion of Doom match with Neidhart.
First of all, they were just all on different pages, including the cameraman. He's shooting the wrong thing and stuff. Jim Neidhart decided, you know what? I had my run in the late 80s, maybe early 90s with the Heart Foundation. Then it disappeared for a while. Then there's this angle here where Brett needs a bunch of Canadian friends, and so I got a second chance because I'm married to his sister. So I think I won't sell for the Road Warriors. The Road Warriors are going to hit me with clotheslines, and I'm going to stay on my feet.
Question
Over and over again.
was this better or worse than Booker T and Stevie Ray versus Jeff Jarrett and Mongo? Because they were both very similar.
That was more boring. This was worse.
Huh.
This may have crossed into so bad. Nah, it wasn't that bad.
No. I took great pleasure in watching Mongo play babyface in peril.
That was the man they chose.
Yes. Yes. So, anyway, this went on for a while, and then as soon as the Road Warriors teased they might win, the Hearts attacked for the DQ, so that sucked. Austin and Michaels hit the ring to make the save. In the melee, Shawn goes to hit Anvil, but he misses and hit Austin, and so Michaels and Austin brawl. And it was funny, because they're brawling on the floor, and the officials are trying to separate them, and Hawk is out there saying, no, let him fight. But if you think about it, he should have wanted them to win, because they're the ones who promised him a title shot. Owen and Bulldog didn't.
Right.
Anyway. Sonny blasted the Honky Tonk Man with a Super Soaker backstage.
Whiter's better, baby.
There's the tagline. Paul Bearer cut a promo from backstage. He promised that...
I don't give a damn anymore. How was that?
Well, it wasn't
Could use
very
some work.
good.
I'm not fat enough.
So,
Yes, that's the problem.
Yeah. Fatter
of
you
them.
are, the higher your voice, right, Craig?
Sure.
one of the problems. Well, his point was...
Woo! That's what I was forgetting.
His point was that he had the Undertaker's secret locked in a safe deposit box.
Oh, like Vince.
Yes. And if anything happened to him tonight, his lawyer had instructions to open the safe deposit box and reveal the secret to the world.
Did he really say a safe deposit box?
Almost positive he did.
It's starting to make sense now.
It's all been in the works for 20 years.
Vince, Shane, and the lockbox, and Undertaker WrestleMania.
It does, actually, doesn't it?
Huh.
Maybe in the same lockbox.
Hadn't thought about
Except
that.
Taker's secret did come out.
Well, that is true. But we don't know if that was a real secret.
Now, here's what I love about this, and this is just pro wrestling greatness. He's being Paul Bearer. He's spectacular and wacky. And he explains, yes, I have changed since the fire. I look different. I have different hair. I speak differently. What the fire did was give him a normal skin tone and his natural hair color.
Yeah.
This fire's awesome. Everyone should get burned.
He's disfigured, Vince. That's horrible.
Yes, so.
And why are you denigrating his black hair and white skin? What are you trying to say?
That he looks better now. The fire improved him.
Huh.
Trial by fire.
You tell Paige that.
Paige looks better than Paul Bearer.
Word. Yes.
That's my
Vince, you are correct.
But she's pale with black hair.
my opinion. It works better for her.
Although if she got a tan and went back to her natural hair color, I don't think anybody would complain. Except the goth lovers.
Who probably see people who enjoyed The Undertaker for all these years.
Sure.
All these Undertaker promos. D'Lo Brown versus Bob Holly. This is such a fun time because every week on Raw, there's somebody new. There's Rob Van
D'Lo?
Dam. This is his first match.
Yeah, he's been in the nation, but he
I was
hasn't
going to
wrestled
say, he's
yet.
been in the nation forever.
First time he's had a name.
Huh.
His first name, first match. Scott Taylor shows up out of the blue one week. Rob Van Dam, Jeff Hardy. As opposed to now, where even though it's 3 hours, it's the exact same cast of characters pretty much every week. Farouk was on commentary. He was awesome. He's going off about how he's going to be the first black WWF champion, and Vince is scared of that.
Vince says, aren't you trying to patronize the blacks?
That is a quote.
That was his quote. I wrote that down word for word.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of that on this show this week.
And then Farouk claims that the fans are cheering for Bob Holly because he's white.
This is what the fans want to see, he says. A white man beating up a black man.
That's why they got excited whenever he was beating on D'Lo.
So he also said that it didn't matter how hard you worked, how smart you were, the only way for a black man to get ahead in this country was through violence. That's a terribly nihilistic view of things.
Wow.
Yeah. Meanwhile, D'Lo and Bob Holly had a pretty dang good match. Nobody cared about it because nobody knew who D'Lo was. And eventually, Bob tried a Hurricane Rana, and D'Lo powerbombed him and won. So that's the big payoff to Bob Holly's upset of Owen Hart last week. He loses to D'Lo in D'Lo's debut.
Yeah, there's more of that to come.
There is. Regardless, this was a fun match.
Farouk told us that Undertaker was a dead man at the pay-per-view.
Bob got a big push last
Sure
week.
is.
That's right. It's correct, no matter what.
Bob got a big push last week, and this week he's jobbing. And that brings us to the next match.
Well, first, before the match,
Sorry.
Undertaker goes to cut a promo backstage.
How many times have they gone backstage to The Undertaker and you can't hear the guy? This is like the third time in the last several weeks that this has happened. Is it that hard to turn the goddamn mic on?
Well, the lights are off. It's hard to find the switch.
That actually makes sense if you think about it. So, yes, they go to Undertaker. There's no audio.
Are you looking at this stuff? It's all lit up.
After about 15 seconds,
Lights are on, too.
Vince gives up, starts to throw it to commercial, but then you hear like two words from Taker, and Vince says, "Oh, no, wait, we got it working. Let's go to Taker again." So they go back to Taker. Taker is now caught off guard. He has to start his promo over, and the first half of this, he is talking in Mark Calloway voice. And like halfway through, the switch goes on, and he goes into Undertaker mode. So he explains he has weeks to worry about Farouk, but tonight he has to make a decision that will change his life.
Man.
And we had Jerry Lawler cutting a promo that would not fly in 2016.
You know, there is a lot of stuff in wrestling over the years that I almost can't believe made television. But at the end of the day, because it's pro wrestling, I believe it. I cannot believe this made television.
Yeah, in 97, let alone in 2016.
I mean, think about this. You keep bringing up the promo that Lawler did a few weeks ago, where he dropped a slur under his breath in as quick a manner as possible and moved on.
Vince, let's hear it.
Clearly, as a result of that, they knew we're walking the line here.
Yes.
Should we do this or not? Well, let's do it, but let's totally half-ass it and move on as quickly as humanly possible.
Well, they pole vaulted over the line this week.
I don't know what happened, but they just decided, let's fucking go for it.
So, Jerry Lawler cuts this promo. Among the offensive language he used, called Goldust a sissy, said he had married the biggest gold digger in Georgia, called him, quote, a flaming fag. And then he closed saying he's making fun of Marlena and Dakota and says Marlena should have been named Target because everyone in Georgia had a shot at her.
He's talking about her mother.
Technically, he didn't actually call Goldust that. He said that he was dancing around like that slur.
I see.
Maybe that's how they thought that they were going to get past it here. I don't even know, but
Well, here's the, okay.
my mind was blown.
They just should have called him a ferret. No?
Well, a minute later, they replayed that earlier months-old promo with Lawler and Goldust, where Lawler called him Aqueer. And this time they bleeped that.
Right.
Yeah.
Did they change their mind in 5 minutes? Did Lawler say that and they all like sat back with their eyes wide open and said, "Holy crap, this is too far"?
Keep in mind, by the way, they're in Evansville.
Evansville, Indiana.
And so the next match is Jerry Lawler and Goldust. And the only thing that I can figure is that they thought there's no way Lawler's going to get booed here in this town. So
He's
instead
been
of
working regularly for 20 years.
instead of not having him on the show, which would have been my call, let's have him do the goddamn show anyway. But we'll have him do a promo that's so offensive that there's no way that anybody could cheer him afterwards.
Sure.
Little did they know that Lawler then came out and was over like crazy.
I like that Lawler had the audacity to call Goldust gay, and he came out here in a black and gold paisley bodysuit.
Must we?
So,
By the way,
Bring my
this,
daughter into this.
this is
the name of the pattern.
this was a King of the Ring quarterfinal match, so he had to be in the match.
Oh, no, he could have done this match next week.
Fair enough.
They could have done it last week. They could have done it on Superstars.
So
But they did it here, and they cheered Lawler. They booed Goldust. They cheered when Lawler pile drove Goldust. They booed when Goldust pile drove Lawler.
Yeah. The pile drivers, by the way, in the middle of the match.
Oh yeah, just moves.
Lawler was working tonight. This was his territory, and he was
Yeah,
knocking
he
other
was
people
winning.
down. Well, that too. So they had a fun match. It was funny as Lawler's got the heat, and he's choking and eye raking, and the fans are all cheering. And eventually, Marlena slaps Lawler. They get back in the ring, and Lawler goes for a pin, puts his feet in the ropes, and the ref counts 3. Now, they've decided to repackage Goldust to a degree. They've said it's all part of a character he's playing. He's a family man. People are cheering for him. We're going to do this big sit-down interview thing for weeks to try to get him over. Then what we'll do, we'll have him lose to Rockabilly, and we'll have him lose to a semi-retired announcer.
Yeah.
How is this any different than 2016?
Exactly. They're not learning. It's kind of depressing.
By the way, why did Goldust basically no-sell Jerry Lawler's pile driver? He was up throwing rights
I don't know.
seconds later.
I don't know.
You know, I think that Russo was there by now. And I presume that this is his deal where it's like, we got to give everybody a storyline. We got to give everybody something to do. And meanwhile, you really think Vince McMahon was going to do anything with Goldust? No. So they built up a whole goddamn storyline for him, and Vince is still booking him like he was always going to book him. So I think we still have that to this day, where the goddamn Golden Truth. They've been building up the Golden Truth for how long now? 5 months? And not doing a goddamn thing with them.
Mm-hmm.
Nor are they. They may feud with the Shining Stars,
Oh,
and they'll probably lose that feud. It's just a waste of time, this idea that we got to have something for everybody. No, just have a few guys, and then other guys just don't do anything. Who cares?
It's 3 hours television, Brian.
so
Not back here, it's 2.
I understand that.
So the segment ended with Goldust and Lawler brawling up the ramp. Goldust hit a punch. Lawler fell down the ramp, and when I say fell down the ramp, 20 or 30 yards all the way, rolling out of control back down to ringside, and he got there, and Marlena stepped on him to go to the back herself. Austin was about to do a promo backstage when he was immediately jumped by the Hart Foundation, and Vincent Kennedy Akbar noted, "It's a trap!"
I love that Vince says, we're going to go talk to Steve Austin in his locker room. And they go backstage to Austin's locker room, and all of a sudden, a pack of wolves attack and tear him to bits. He's left for dead. They go to commercial. When they come back, the first thing Vince says is, we're still going to try to get some words from Steve Austin. Like, he just got killed. All you care about is your damn interview?
Yes.
How about you see how Steve Austin's doing, then we can find out if we need to interview the
He's
guy.
a greedy promoter. So when they come back, Austin, to Vince's credit, is fine.
He was all right.
He is looking for the Hearts backstage. He finds what I wrote here was a laid out Shawn Michaels, but that's not true. Because Shawn had apparently also been attacked by the Hearts, but he also jumped back up. They're yelling at each other. Austin accuses Shawn of taking a nap.
As one does.
I've heard it can happen before a show. And they yell at each other about how they are not watching each other's back. Flash Funk versus Rocky Maivia is technically the match that happened next, but that's not important.
What's important, it was The Rock versus Too Cold Scorpio.
Yeah?
Think about that.
Going back and forth, mind you.
The Rock had a match with Too Cold Scorpio.
Sure.
And Scorpio won. No.
No, he didn't.
Who won?
Rock won.
God, I was so bored.
None of this matters.
Fucking headbangers.
The goddamn headbangers who have been having terrible matches on Raw for weeks came out here to be in a non-wrestling role and were so much worse. This is legit one of the worst acts. I have forgotten how terrible the headbangers were. They are awful.
I remembered they existed, but that was about it.
Oh my God.
I remember what they looked like. I remember they wore kilts, but what the fuck?
And not just the way they looked, they were so very annoying.
Yes, and obnoxious and not entertaining. I do not want to see them get beaten. This is not good heel heat. I almost muted the show. Maintained some professionalism. They're just making jokes about boogers and popcorn. Very annoying, not entertaining.
You want to hear my notes in full? This won't take long. High Cross Idiot headbangers out there being idiots. That's literally all I wrote about this. Did I miss anything?
You missed Flash Funk trying Pescado and Rock being 275 pounds and getting hit square in the chest and still doing nothing to break his fall. It's like he's there, he's in the perfect position, ready to go, and he just goes down before Flash Funk arrives.
Headbangers were out there doing basically Beavis and Butthead.
No, I like Beavis and Butthead.
Fair.
They're funny. They were too stupid to be Beavis and Butthead.
Also, The Rock has trimmed down a bit and put on a ton of mass. He is looking more like The Rock that we all know and love.
When this is over, so yeah, Rock wins after interference from both headbangers, and Flash took a boombox to the head, and then he was fine afterwards, and they were friends. Rock and Flash were. But all I knew is when this was over, I wanted the headbangers fired immediately. Not just from Raw in 97, but find out whatever they are doing here in 2016 and fire them from that job as well.
Wow.
Now, were these two jokers just out here to promote the King of the Ring inflatable chair?
They were selling a King of the Ring inflatable chair, the kind of which you would go to Toys R Us and buy for perhaps $10.
No, not $10, Vince. Did
Well,
you see the price tag on this thing?
That's what I was going to say. At Toys R Us, it would be $10.
Yes.
In $1997, this chair with shipping was more than $70.
That's right. I
Good
didn't
God
buy one.
almighty. They lasted 3 more years
Ah!
in WWE.
I wonder if they ever did anything good.
They lasted through the year 2000.
I remember one thing they did with DX where DX put him through a playing card table.
Do you remember when we were looking them up on Wikipedia and I was reading their Wikipedia about how they have an entire section here, criticism by WWE, and they're complaining about how WWE Magazine criticized them for their supposedly poor tag team championship reign? I wonder who wrote that. They are still, in fact, together and working today.
Well,
them.
hey, maybe one of these days they'll improve. Had a sit-down interview with Mankind. His story here was he was playing lacrosse in high school. He took a lacrosse ball to the nuts. He got swollen testicles, and that was the only point in high school when the girls looked at his genitals.
And he said they swell to the size of grapefruits, which Vince McMahon still uses as
this
a
day.
term today.
Yeah. It was supposed to be funny. Brett does his promo backstage. He's vowing his upcoming match against Shawn at King of the Ring. He's promoting it, hyping it up. And he vows he's going to show Shawn just how real he was.
That happened.
Uh-oh. And then everyone ran down Austin and Michaels for a while.
Pillman wants a match with Austin, which never ends up happening. Bulldog claims Austin put 15 stitches in his eye, and the real story is he fell down in the shower.
I would also
Seriously.
claim Steve Austin beat me up.
And it was a great heel promo. Everyone was just
This is
mean.
It's the model that the Four Horsemen used for years. You have your lead guy who does most of the talking, and everyone else gets just enough words in there to remind you they're there, and you move on.
Brett, by the way, this week was not on crutches or in a wheelchair. He agreed to the King of the Ring match, 10 minutes or less. If he loses, he'll never wrestle in the U.S. again. And the Hart Foundation is going to be handcuffed to the corners. Now, I thought that the Shawn-Brett fight was imminent, and apparently it's still several weeks away. And I guess Brett's knee just wasn't ready for the King of the Ring, which was why they did the angle at the end of the show where Steve Austin tackled him and attacked his knee. So it was not the backstage fight that killed the King of the Ring match. It was Brett just not being ready yet.
Vader versus Ahmed Johnson with Ken Shamrock on commentary.
The one and only Ken Shamrock, as it was billed by the ring announcer.
Well, as far as I know, that's true.
I mean, it is, but what? The world's most dangerous man. They thought, we could call him the world's most dangerous man. Or the one and only Ken Shamrock.
Like, there's only one Bob Holly as well.
Had there been the one Billy Gunn yet, or was that
I think
later?
it's down the line.
Okay.
So if I go to the phone book and look up Ken Shamrock in the phone book, I'm not going to find anybody.
Well, not in this phone book.
I see.
If you get one from California, he might be in there.
I like that Vader's hometown was not Denver, Colorado.
Right.
Vader hails from the Rocky Mountains.
Sure.
Yeah.
He is not from a city. He roams from peak to peak, powerbombing deer to death and surviving on their flesh.
Why does that surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me. It's awesome.
It is awesome. You know, it was not awesome this match.
No.
And I was very disappointed because I thought, it's Vader and it's Ahmed Johnson. This has the capacity to be the slobber knocker of the year.
Well, the way I saw this is they were hitting each other really hard, but then they would realize that they were hitting each other really hard. And so they would very, very blatantly pull their punches. So one would connect and then 4 or 5 would not.
Okay, here's how I interpreted this. Now, I have no firsthand info. I don't know any of these men. I only know people who know them sparingly, and I've heard lots of random internet gossip. So everything I'm about to say could be complete, pure bullshit. But I've heard that Vader can be a bully. He likes to take liberties with guys who are not in position career-wise or not physically capable of defending themselves. And I suspect he got in here with Mr. Johnson, and he may have worked a little snug, and then Ahmed may have worked snug back.
On accident.
Or on purpose. Either way, Vader said, I'm going to take it easy on this kid. Because there was a point halfway through this match where suddenly Vader was being so delicate.
Right.
And I've never described Vader as delicate before. So that's my theory. Again, that could be pure bullshit. I did like also when Vince called these two men, Ahmed Johnson and Vader, masters of psychology.
Huh. Even his storyline, what does that mean?
I don't know. So they plugged the UFC pay-per-view. And they were doing this match, and Ahmed hit a spinebuster out of nowhere and won, and everyone went nuts. All right.
Yeah.
Paul Bearer did another backstage promo.
It won't be long.
This is something that they don't do now and shouldn't do now. Multiple backstage promos with the same person. And you see it with Paul Bearer, you see it with
well,
Brett and Shawn.
they got to remind you, don't turn to Impact. This man is going to remind you of what
Or
he's
Nitro.
gonna be doing later. Or Nitro. Yeah. Same thing.
Sort of. So this time, Paul says that Undertaker is running out of time, and with just a few words, he's going to do what no giant, warrior, or immortal could do and bring Taker to his knees. That was a great line. Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Rockabilly.
Again, how many months did they build up this fucking Rockabilly? And now this is what we got. He came out here, first off, bigger than Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
And this is 1997 Rockabilly, who was much smaller than 2016 Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
Boring ass match. The only notable thing, besides that Hunter, of course, won clean with his move, like he always does,
Yes.
is that
Well, he did it. You're right. He did.
they end up outside, and China slammed the Honky Tonk Man on the black mats. Now, last week, I was sure there had to be a stunt man. Because Honky ain't taking no bumps. When I saw him take a bump outside, there was only 2 things I can conclude. One, that it wasn't Honky, that they actually did have a stunt man. Or B, it was a shoot. And Honky was like, I ain't fucking going up for you, and they decided you're going up for me. He took a bump on the cement outside.
Maybe he saw the direction this Rockabilly thing was trending and figured, if I'm going to stick around for long, I got to make an impression.
This was 97. When was Honky working for Tim? It's only a few years later, right?
3 or 4 years later.
3 or 4 years later. Honky not only took no bumps in those matches, he didn't even take a bump for his own finish.
No.
He would turn around for the neck breaker, and the other guy would just take a bump,
Yeah.
and he would keep standing.
Oh, yeah. I probably sing.
And now, he'd say, you want me to sing my song? And he'd sing his song, and then when he's done, he'd go, you want me to sing it again? And they'd go, yay! And Honky would sing the second time.
Oh, yeah.
Then he'd do a short match, take no bumps, including on the neck breaker, pin the guy, and then sing his song again. And here I am watching, allegedly, the Honky Tonk Man take a body slam from China outside. Come on.
I like how you're skeptical. That
I
this
am
was-
skeptical.
I like
It's more likely I would see Bigfoot than the Honky Tonk Man taking a bump outside
on the floor.
on the floor.
They're talking about Triple H. Randomly, very randomly, they replayed all the American Blue Blood hype videos for his debut. You know, he's now been here doing this character for how many years now. And in this, they're talking about he's from Greenwich, Connecticut. It's so rich there, the median home price is $500,000. And I went to Google. Seattle, Washington, 2016, median home price, $564,300. Now, to be fair, I also checked Greenwich, and it's 1.4 million median home price. So it's still ritzier than us. But things changed, is all.
Should have checked Medina.
I bet it's higher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Hunter won. I don't know why they didn't bothered with this segment. Taker did another backstage promo. He said Bearer could do what he had to do, but then I'll do what I have to do. So he said nothing.
Right.
Sable came out to sell the King of the Ring chair.
I would have bought it.
They got the chair.
Sable not included.
They were
Oh, they did say that.
very specific about this. She hasn't even sat in the chair. But it's there.
You know, you ever got like a hair dryer? Or I got to point to this. So I once got, when I was younger, I think it was actually a hair straightener because I had long hair. And I opened up the instructions, and the instructions said, do not use while showering.
Yes.
And it's like, who the fuck would straighten their hair in the shower?
Somebody did.
Exactly, that's the point. You realize that someone somewhere tried to use this goddamn hair straightener in the shower, probably blew themselves up. So they had to put this warning on this from now on. Was there someone who was angry and disappointed when they bought this chair that Sable was not in the package?
Or a reasonable replacement.
Like, something must have happened where they'd make it so clear that you're getting the chair, but not the girl.
I guess.
And you wonder why no one advertises on these wrestling shows.
All I know is they've got this stupid balloon chair up at the top of the ramp, the $70 balloon. Sable comes out. She does a couple laps around the balloon. Mm-hmm. They're talking about how she's not included. She goes backstage, and Vince McMahon says, quote, King of the Ring chair, ladies and gentlemen. That's that.
What a promoter. Let me talk about this Foley video. A couple of things I got to note here. So Foley, of course, always talks about this Jimmy Snuka, Don Morocco leap off the cage.
Yeah.
It's the match and the moment that got him into this wrestling business. And I just thought, Dean Ambrose jumped off a cage on Sunday. And if I recall correctly, when you and I did the Brian Vinny show, neither of us even remembered that he jumped off the top of that fucking cage, and we did not mention it in the recap.
It never came up.
Not to mention, when you actually watch the legendary Jimmy Snuka jump off the cage, it's half as high as the cage that Dean Ambrose jumped off.
A little higher than the top rope.
Second off, everybody else remembers the legendary footage of Mick Foley on top of his house, and he leaps off. Now, as I watch it today, Foley was not, in fact, redoing Jimmy Snuka and Don Morocco, because Jimmy Snuka landed on Don Morocco. What Foley ultimately was recreating here was Shane McMahon's finish at this year's WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Because he got on top of a high thing, he jumped off, he fucking missed, and then his buddy jumped on him and pinned him.
Yeah.
My, how things come full circle.
He jumped off the roof of his house. His buddy moved. He went through like a board and some mattresses.
Yeah.
They had something there for him to land on. Before this, by the way, I want to note, Vince said we're going to do another Mankind promo segment here. I want you all to know this is going to be more entertaining than the story about his testicle. That's not a quote, but that's basically what he said.
And then one other thing. Foley's talking about how he always wanted to be Dude Love. And when he first started, he thought, Cactus Jack's a horrible name. Which begs the question, why'd you choose that name then? So he said, I was only going to be Cactus Jack for about 3 months. And then I was going to become Dude Love.
Yes.
And he says, I wanted to be Dude Love because then I'd get all the hot chicks.
Yeah.
He pauses for a second. He goes, it didn't really work out that way, did it, Jimmy? And I thought, have you seen your wife, Mick?
She's pretty hot.
She's hot. What the fuck are you talking about, geek? Anyway.
Well, yeah, Foley is very good at picking the parts of reality that back up his character and ignoring those that don't. Pick up the parts about being lonely in high school, leave out the parts about getting the hot girl at the end. Well, it's time for the match. Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin versus Davey Boy Smith and Owen Hart. Brian, the floor is yours.
I don't even know where to begin. Shawn Michaels, this was his first match back since he lost his smile and had to rest his knee. Now, granted, this was not Seth Rollins, where Seth Rollins blew out 9 ligaments in his leg and had to make a big comeback. Shawn claimed he may never wrestle again, and he went to his doctor, and his doctor said, nah, just rest. So there is that aspect of this, but this guy came back, and he was pretty much the best wrestler he ever saw on his first match back. And Vince McMahon is like, it's like Shawn never even missed a day. I was thinking, It's not even like it's like he never missed a day. But he's so much better now than he was before he left. Now, granted, before he left, he was wrestling Sid. And those matches were not quite as good as this one. But he went in there, and he was better than Owen, and he was better than Bulldog, and he was better than Steve Austin, and he was better than all of them put together. And I don't know what he was doing in his off time. I mean, clearly he could do some stuff. I don't mean like that. I just mean, this guy just never stopped. He hit the ropes. He was running so fast.
He's
He
the best
never
rope
stopped
runner
moving.
ever, isn't he?
Oh yeah. There was one moment. It was right before Owen hits him with a belly to belly. I remember every moment of this match, by the way. I must have watched this 5,000 times. There's a moment right before the belly to belly where he hits the ropes and he very briefly takes a giant fucking gasp of breath. And I was like, he's getting tired now. But you know what? That was the only moment in the match where he even broke the facade for a moment. The rest of the time, he just ran his ass off, 1,000 miles an hour, hits his high cross off the top on Owen, and then Owen stands up and gives him the kick, and Shawn takes it with his face. Heels doing all of their every old school heel trick in the book. The switch behind the referee's back. The crowd's just fucking furious that they tagged in without making a real tag. The only downside, and I remember this as vivid as day as well, Shawn Michaels, everybody here, I got to give everybody credit. It's not just Shawn. Everybody looked awesome. Bulldog had days where he was just like a guy, and then he had days where he was really fucking great, and he was really fucking great in this match. Owen was great. Steve Austin was great, although you look at Shawn and how smooth he is, and then you look at Austin, and it's like an elephant running through the room. It's just so heavy in the ring. Every step he takes shakes the whole building.
That is true.
But he was great. And so, I'll never forget, and it always bothered me, and I would bet if you had a shoot interview with Shawn Michaels and you asked him, he'd probably say it bugged him too. But they have the greatest fucking match, and Shawn Michaels is the greatest fucking wrestler of all time. And then at the very end, he throws the shittiest super kick you ever saw, and that's the finish. And I just thought, God, that probably ate away at him for years. That, what a great match, but I fucked up that last super kick. And that was the finish! This was so great. Like, an amazing one-man performance. Like a legendary one-man performance.
You're right, but the other three guys were still great.
They were!
He was just so much better than them.
It was amazing because look at how good Steve Austin was, and look at how good Owen was, and on his best day, look at Bulldog. And meanwhile, it was like three geeks in the ring with wrestling Jesus.
Yeah.
I couldn't even believe my eyes how great he was.
When Stone Cold is the lesser worker in the ring of four guys, you're going to have a pretty good match.
Yeah.
I was in awe. It was exactly as great as I remembered, if not even better.
I realize, obviously, not every tag match from the 90s was this good. But if you watch the illegal switches and the steal the ref so he misses the babyface tag spots and all this, and you realize, my God, tag team wrestling is just dead. It does not exist as we knew it anymore.
Some people will get mad at me for this, but I don't care. Shawn Michaels in this match was better than everybody in WWE today. There's not one guy in WWE today.
Yeah, that's fair.
That he would not. If you took him out of 97 and you put him in the company today, he would blow everybody away.
This is controversial?
I'm sure somebody will say, "Oh, you idiot," blah 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 blah. But it's a fact. It is an objective fact, I would dare say.
So, yes, the big finish was they got the heat on Shawn. He finally, after many failed attempts, tagged in Austin and the place went nuts. And it broke down into a four-way. And there's four guys in the ring. The ref goes to Shawn, and Shawn just blatantly points, "Go with Owen." And so the ref goes with Owen. Shawn super kicks Davey, and Austin gets the pin. So you've got new champs. Place goes apeshit. As soon as the ref counts 3, Neidhart and Pillman hit the ring for the DQ. Austin, just to escape them, rolls out of the ring. And he grabs his title belt. He's making his way around ringside. He's looking inside, and there's his brand new tag team partner getting beat up 4-on-1. And you can see the wheels turning in his head. Like, I don't like this pretty boy, but he is my tag team partner, and I do hate them. Maybe I should. Then he stops, and he looks up the ramp and realizes the Hearts have made a fatal error, and they have left their leader defenseless. And he charges, and he attacks Bret Hart with a fury, going right for the bad leg, just punching the hell out of it. And honestly, it didn't last long before the Hearts ran him down and chased him away, but that made it better than the match.
It was
so great just at being Steve Austin.
It was a great moment. And in the Observer, Dave mentioned that Austin suffered a neck injury in this match. So I was watching the whole match trying to figure out where did Steve Austin hurt his neck in this match. If you watch the end,
Yes.
Steve Austin liked Bret, unlike Shawn.
Yeah.
And Bret was hurt. So Steve Austin runs up the ramp and he tackles Bret, and he tackles him so gingerly that I think that he was trying to be so careful not to hurt the guy that he DDT'd himself on the metal ramp.
I did
Saw
see
that.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'll bet you anything that's where he hurt his neck, trying to protect Bret like a professional.
So that's how this ended with Austin fled, the Hearts tended to Bret, and Shawn was down dead in the ring. It was funny watching this because after watching, we just watched the pay-per-view the night before on a Sunday and just watching wrestling for years now. And this is like they got to the point where in a 2016 match, we will start kicking out of everyone's finish. Only they didn't do that. A guy hit his finish and it ended the match. And that was that. So it wasn't very long, a little more than 10 minutes, but goddamn, it was great.
I don't want to get on Dolph Ziggler because I do it all the time. But especially if you watch the pre-show on Sunday, Dolph tries so hard to be Shawn Michaels. Super kick,
I will never knock a man for doing that.
the showstopper. Hey, I fucking did it my whole career. But the point of this is, I knew I'm not as good as Shawn Michaels.
Right.
Okay? I'm just not. Now, I don't know if Dolph Ziggler thinks that he's as good as Shawn Michaels, but when you watch Shawn Michaels wrestle, I don't know. I think there's so many guys that watch his matches and they just really don't get it. Like, they see him moving really fast and all the stuff that he does, but they don't really, I hate to use this term because it's such an overused term, but they don't see the space between the notes, the music between the notes. Remember when Craig, went out there and we recreated Shawn Michaels versus Vader?
That's strong.
We wrote down every move in the match.
Yes.
And so we went and we did the same moves.
Right.
And you were a big mastodon.
Yes, sir.
And I was a skinny gymnast. So we did everything. But it was nothing like the actual Shawn Michaels Vader match.
No.
Really? That's odd.
It's true. It's true.
I have it on tape. I can, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know.
It's when Shawn Michaels goes 100,000 miles an hour, it means more than when Dolph Ziggler tries to go 100,000 miles an hour.
I don't even know how to even explain it. You know what the problem is, too? If you hired Shawn Michaels and you said, Shawn, listen, we're going to give you $5 million a year, and we want you to come in here and train these guys and teach them how to be Shawn Michaels. I would guarantee you, and I know what people are going to say. They're going to go, he turned out Daniel Bryan and he turned out Spanky, great workers. I'll bet you anything Shawn could do it. Well, first off, I bet you Shawn couldn't do it. And I'll bet you if he asked him, he'd tell you that. And second off, if you go back into the archives and you listen to the interview that Bryan Danielson did, when I asked him about training with Shawn Michaels, and I told him how light Shawn was and what was it like training with him, you know what he said? He goes, Shawn would put me and Spanky in the ring together, and he would have us beat the shit out of each other, and he'd sit there and laugh. That's what he said about Shawn Michaels' training school. So, I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, except that Shawn was on another level from everybody else, and no one comes close, and you can't recreate it by just doing his shit. It just doesn't work like that.
Not to mention, Shawn had other students besides Spanky and Daniel Bryan.
That didn't make it.
Shooter Schultz.
Shooter Schultz didn't make it.
Right.
Anyway, this match was fucking amazing. It would have been the best match of the year in WWE if you put it on TV today.
So after the match, Austin cuts a promo from his locker room. He is bragging about winning the tag titles by himself. And then he whipped Bret's ass, so it's a great day for Steve Austin. Shawn arrives, they shout at each other, and in the mess, they sort of hype their match next week against the Legion of Doom.
Can we mention the key to this segment, Vinny? When Shawn Michaels told Steve Austin that he needed to get his shit together.
Yes.
That deserved an award of some sort.
Fair enough. So Paul Bearer came to the ring for the main event promo. He begins to speak about how he was in the cemetery that morning for the funeral of Undertaker's parents. Talks about the rain hitting the muddy earth. And he says there was not 2 graves dug that morning, there were 3.
Oh, man.
At this point, Taker appears. His music is playing, but he's got no time for the light show. He is briskly walking down to the ring before Paul can say another word. And he says, Paul, I hate you for all you have done. I hate you for your forcing me to do tonight. And I hope the people who love me will be able to forgive me. And he grabs Paul by the throat. And Bearer saying this, he drops to his knee, but he also has fire in his eyes, and he is wagging his finger at Taker and pointing at him. And slowly, Taker pulls Paul back up to his feet, and he gradually lets go of his neck. He backs away, and he kneels, and the show cuts off immediately.
So just to clarify this, was the story that if Undertaker had killed Paul Bearer, that his attorney had been told, you have permission to reveal the secret?
On a cause of my death, go to this post office or
Okay.
In a nutshell, that's what it is.
Yes.
Okay.
So it is amazing. We watch these. We seem like we never see, at this point for the past month or so on Retro Raw. Every one of them seems memorable. I don't think we've said just a show about Retro Raw in a month or two.
No.
Something important and newsworthy happens all the time.